The Throne of the Mechas. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1176. My heart is sincere. On the Xia Star execution ground, Michael was driving the Light Angel mecha, and also condensed a huge light wing behind the mecha, killing Xia Xingchen instantly. In that battle, Xia Xingchen lost miserably, and he has been brooding over it, and even became a psychological shadow for a time. Although similar, but you are not Michael, and I'm not the me of that year. Xia Xingchen shouted. Sky wings spread out. Behind the Azure Dragon mecha, a pair of Sky Dragon wings appeared, with a wingspan of 100 meters. Compared with Jert's huge light wings, they seemed very weak. It's like a goshawk and a sparrow. Human, you are not my opponent. Jert roared, and his huge body swooped over, increasing his speed by a full double. Come on. The enemy was reflected in Xia Xingchen's pupils. Whoosh, whoosh. Both of them condensed wings behind them, and their speed was amazing. The naked eye could no longer catch their traces. Only two rainbow lights could be seen, fighting in the air. Every time they collided, a mushroom cloud appeared, and the fire covered the entire sky. The golden wings behind Jert were huge, just like the wings of Kunpeng in the legend. Every time they flapped, the wind and clouds surged. The wings of the sky behind Xia Xingchen were shining with the brilliance of the starry sky, mysterious and agile. The speed of the two people was comparable. Boom boom boom. The two peerless masters kept fighting in the air, and every collision made a deafening sound. The energy fluctuations that erupted were no less than the main gun attack of a medium-sized starship. Click. With a strange sound, Xia Xingchen suddenly looked down and found that cracks had appeared on the outer armor of the Qinglang mecha. The devouring star armor could not withstand the huge amount of energy and had already shown signs of collapse. He was shocked. Cracks have appeared in the human mecha. Humanity is going to lose. Technology is always an external force. To be strong, one must rely on one's own strength. We, the Fiery Sun Clan, rely on our own strength. Mechas are nothing but lumps of iron. Jert hasn't used his special skills yet. But there is no need anymore. Humans are not strong enough, and it is not worth it for Jert to use his special skills. Of course. Jert is a hero of the Fiery Sun Clan. A mere human wants to win. It's simply a daydream. Hundreds of thousands of Fiery Sun Clan members cheered again. Human, your mental strength is very strong. However, mechas are made of steel after all. Under energy bombardment, steel has its own endurance limit. It's not that you can't do it, it's that your mecha can't do it. Jert shouted in a low voice. Disappointment. I'm very disappointed. I thought you could be my opponent. Unexpectedly, you are just so-so. Let's end it. Let's end it like this. Jert acknowledged Xia Xingchen's strength, but belittled the Azure Dragon mecha to nothing. The Fiery Sun Clan, a powerful race in itself, has one thing in common, which is that they look down on the power of technology. They believe that technology is always an external force. Relying on external forces to win, even if it is a victory, is only temporary. This is completely different from humans. In today's human society, primitive religions have basically disappeared, leaving only many variants of religions that worship technology and believe that technology is omnipotent. The Shinran sect under the control of the gods is the most powerful of them, including Xia Xingchen himself. He often has the idea of worshipping technology, especially the Azure Dragon mecha and the super technology of the Star Domain Arc. Xia Xingchen often has the idea that, as long as he controls this technology, he will be omnipotent. My mecha is not good. Xia Xingchen almost laughed out loud. It was the first time that someone felt that the performance of his Azure Dragon mecha was not good enough. Condensation. Sky devouring beast. Jert roared and used his most powerful trick, ready to take advantage of the situation, to defeat Xia Xingchen in one fell swoop. Countless rays of sunlight gathered on Jert's body, all turned into golden light, condensed into a terrifying monster 100 meters high. The body of this monster was transformed by sunlight, and its whole body was flashing with dazzling brilliance, looking extremely ferocious. The control of mental power is superb. Xia Xingchen was shocked. The Liang clan is naturally powerful. They tap into their own potential and have incredible control over their mental power. After countless generations of exploration, they have developed another way, which is to externalize mental power, condense it into the appearance of a star beast, and kill the enemy. The Liang clan calls this secret technique star beast transformation. However, even within the Liang clan, there are very few strong people who can condense their mental power into star beasts. Even Elder Lu Chang, who is hailed as a genius, has not fully mastered the star beast transformation. And Jert's ability to condense a sky-devouring beast is even rarer, and he is a well-deserved strongman in the Liang clan. Roar. The sky-devouring beast roared, and the intense energy that erupted caused the surrounding space to distort. It was terrifyingly powerful. Omniscient field. Open. Overclocking. Enhanced painting skills. Heart of thunder at full power. Thunder roars. Xia Xingchen's eyes flashed with a sharp light, and he did not dare to neglect it. He activated all the skills he could activate. In the face of the powerful secret attack of the Liang clan, Xia Xingchen also took out all his tricks. Swish. The performance of the Qinglang Mecha soared again, and both its attack and defense power reached the peak. The omniscience field unfolds to explore the weaknesses of the sky-devouring beast. The Heart of Thunder is fully activated, and the blue thunderlight condenses. A powerful beam of thunderlight spurts out from the mouth of the Qinglang Mecha. Spiral drill. Condense for me. Xia Xingchen's eyes were red and his face was crazy. He did not expect that the roar of thunder could withstand Jert's attack. While releasing the roar of thunder, his mental power was madly infused into the magic weapon system. The silver double helix spear changed its shape again and turned into a rotating black drill. Open the sky. Xia Xingchen roared and rushed towards the huge phantom of the sky-devouring beast in the sky. Rumble. It was like two planets colliding with each other. The sky-devouring beast condensed by Jert disintegrated under the crazy attack of the drill, and then turned into countless light spots with a bang. The Qinglang Mecha turned into a huge drill, rushing around, domineering and smashing the sky-devouring beast. At the same time, the drill hit Jert hard. Bang! The rock armor on Jert's body shattered, and the whole person flew backwards for dozens of kilometers, crashed into the holy mountain, and was deeply embedded in the stone wall of the mountain. Well, Xia Xingchen was driving the Qinglang Mecha, suspended in mid-air. The life detector showed that Jert still had signs of life. The body composition of the Liang clan is mainly rock minerals, and the flesh is extremely strong. Xia Xingchen's move opened the sky, shattered the rock armor on the sky-devouring beast and Jert, and the remaining power was less than 10%. Even so, it could break Jert's bones and turn him into meat paste. At the last moment, Xia Xingchen removed most of the force and saved Jert's life. Xia Xingchen didn't want to make enemies with the Liang clan. He didn't forget the purpose of this trip, to help the Liang clan. Even if most people in the Liang clan didn't believe him, misunderstood him, and were hostile to him, Xia Xingchen's heart to help the Liang clan survive the disaster was incomparable. Chapter 1177 Breaking Promises and Getting Fat. The Wanshi star, which was originally boiling, suddenly became quiet at this moment. Hundreds of thousands of Liang people all stared with wide eyes and mouths, and fell silent. They lost. The Liang people once again lost to humans. To be honest, almost no one in the entire Liang tribe, including the queen, thought that Jert would lose, and lose so thoroughly. Jert had always been in the upper hand. Even a few seconds before Jert was defeated, he was still full of confidence, and used his star beast transformation to condense a rare sky-swallowing beast with his mental power, wanting to defeat Xia Xingchen in one fell swoop. However, the situation took a sharp turn for the worse, beyond everyone's expectations. Xia Xingchen's power suddenly erupted, and with his incomparable strength, he won an overwhelming victory. How is it possible? Dream. This must be a dream. Even Jert lost. Humans. No wonder humans are the overlords of the galaxy. They are really too powerful. Hundreds of thousands of Liang people held their heads in pain, and no one was willing to accept this cruel reality. Even the queen was moved at this moment, and her beautiful face was full of astonishment. Jert also lost. Our Liang tribe has lost face. The queen shook her head slowly, with humiliation and shame on her face. Your Majesty, your warriors are no longer able to fight. Please choose to win this battle. Xia Xingchen saw that the queen was silent and delayed in announcing the final result, so she reminded her. Wow. The queen slowly floated into the air, waved her hand to take off her elegant and luxurious long dress, revealing her close-fitting armor, and slowly walked over in the air and landed in front of Xia Xingchen. Jert lost. But it doesn't mean that the Liang tribe lost. Human, I will be your opponent. I will take back the dignity lost by the Liang tribe from your hands. The queen had a slender figure, and the armor on her body was shining with golden light. One hand held a golden scepter, and her eyes were boiling with fighting spirit. What? The queen is going to fight the humans in person. What a shame. It's such a shame. We have no one in the Liang tribe, and we are bullied by foreigners. Even Her Majesty the Queen has to put on military uniforms and fight to the death with foreigners in the ring. Even the hero Jert is no match for that human. Her Majesty, for the dignity of our tribe. Countless members of the Liang tribe couldn't help crying at this moment. Your Majesty, let me, fight this human for you. Your Majesty, you are worth a lot of money. How can you fight in person? What if something goes wrong? This old slave deserves death. Your Majesty, get down quickly. Let me do it. The elders of the Liang tribe in the Council of Elders were watching the show on the sidelines. When they saw that the queen was actually going to fight in person, they couldn't sit still and ran over crying, wanting to fight in the queen's place. You all retreat. The queen shouted coldly, waving her golden scepter, and a golden light curtain appeared around the ring, emitting strong light and heat, and no one could get close. Xia Xingchen, I'm here to fight you. The queen's eyes stared at Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen's face was cold, and she whispered, we had an agreement beforehand. I'll fight Jert, and this matter will be over. I didn't expect that you, as the queen, would break your promise. The queen blushed. She did have an agreement with Xia Xingchen. However, between her own face and the face of the entire Liang clan, she still chose the latter. The queen would rather be regarded as someone who doesn't keep her word, and she would immediately fight Xia Xingchen to get back the face of the Liang clan. Even if I break my promise, what can you do about it? Anyway, you won't fight me. I won't let you leave. As for joining our sun hunters and hunting the three-legged golden crow on Liang Star, don't even think about it. The queen's character was far more stubborn than Xia Xingchen had imagined. She would rather lose her own face and fight him, and now it was completely clear. As expected, those who are not of my race must have different hearts. It seems that, no matter what I do, you will not believe me. Xia Xingchen showed disappointment and shook his head slowly. Well, after all, I'm a human. It is indeed wrong for me to interfere in the affairs of your Liang clan. I'm too lazy to care about your clan's mess. Goodbye. Xia Xingchen frowned, drove the Qinglang mecha, flew into the air, and was already discouraged and ready to leave Wanshi Star. At this moment, the top of the holy mountain suddenly flashed with lightning and thunder, and the whole mountain was rumbling. A figure walked down from the top of the holy mountain, leaning on a cane in his hand. It was the prophet who fell into a deep sleep. Wait a minute. The prophet stood in the air and waved to Xia Xingchen, asking him to stop. The prophet taught Xia Xingchen the light particle alienation technique and gave him the Hai mecha. Xia Xingchen still had some respect for the prophet and immediately stopped. Old woman, it's not that I don't want to help. It's just that your people don't believe me. The prophet stood in the air and said loudly, everyone kneel down and ask the savior to help our people kill the god of destruction and save our people. The prophet's words confirmed Xia Xingchen's identity. Xia Xingchen is the savior predicted by the Liang people. There was a sudden silence on Wanshi Star. The Liang people have heard the legend of the savior and even heard the rumor that Xia Xingchen is the savior. However, now that they heard it from the mouth of the prophet, hundreds of thousands of Liang people were extremely shocked. Prophet, what you said is true. Someone whispered. It's true. The prophet said loudly. Bang. The prophet has an extremely high prestige in the Liang people, and there are many believers under him. After confirming that the prophet was not joking, someone immediately knelt down and kowtowed to Xia Xingchen. After the first one, there will be the second, the third. In an instant, all the people of the Liang tribe on the Great Plains knelt down. When more people of the Liang tribe saw people kneeling nearby, they also knelt down. The scene was like large tracts of wheat fields being bulldozed, which looked extremely spectacular. A few minutes later, more than 70% of the hundreds of thousands of Liang people knelt down, muttering in their mouths, asking the savior to go to Liang Star, to hunt the god of destruction. The remaining 30% who did not kneel were all the queen's followers. If the queen herself did not kneel to Xia Xingchen, they would naturally not kneel down either. Kilu, nonsense. The prophet called the queen by her name and scolded her. Who are you? You actually went down to fight in person? Xia Xingchen is the savior. Even if he is not the savior, he is still our guest. Fighting against each other, breaking your promise and getting rich, this is your queen style. Queen Kilu's face flushed, and she did not say a word in front of the prophet, with a stubborn expression. It was obvious that she was extremely dissatisfied in her heart, and was resisting with silence. Hey, it's not that I don't understand you. The prophet's tone softened, but you are still young, you can't see through fate, let alone the direction of time. I won't force you, I just want you to promise that you are willing to lead the Sun Hunters and Xia Xingchen to hunt the god of destruction on the Liang Star. That's all. Queen Kilu remained silent, with an angry face, staring at Xia Xingchen, wishing she could eat him alive. Plop. The prophet suddenly knelt down, tears streaming down his face. Your Majesty, I beg you. For the Liang clan, put away your stubbornness and willfulness. Just trust me once. Chapter 1178 Domain Evolution. Under the gaze of hundreds of thousands of Liang people, the prophet actually knelt down on the spot and begged Queen Kilu. The Liang people are truly heartless, but even so, countless people couldn't help but be moved, with tears flashing in their eyes. Even the queen herself changed her face slightly at this moment, and whispered, Prophet, you are my respected elder. But, why are you doing this? The prophet is much older than Queen Kilu. When Queen Kilu was young, she respected the prophet as her teacher, and learned a lot from her. However, as she grew older, the queen realized the prophet's profoundness and strength, and even realized her unparalleled prestige in the Liang tribe. Queen Kilu is a natural king. She has only one mission, which is to lead the Liang tribe out of trouble. The prophet was regarded by Queen Kilu as the most threatening enemy, an imaginary enemy, a stumbling block. The relationship between the two people has gradually drifted away from each other, and even became an enemy to the death. At least, Queen Kilu thinks the prophet is an enemy. However, when she saw the old prophet kneeling in front of her and begging, the softest part of her heart was touched, and she couldn't help but sigh. Why are you doing this again? Forget it. Xia Xingchen, since the prophet is begging for you, I will give her face. Queen Kilu could clearly feel that the fire of life in the prophet was about to go out. She recalled the scenes of the prophet teaching her carefully when she was a child. Finally, she softened her heart and turned to Xia Xingchen and said, Swish. Queen Kilu jumped back to the throne and announced that the selection of Liang warriors was officially over. In 1 month, they would set out for Liang Star. Old woman. Xia Xingchen walked to the prophet and helped her up. Savior, you don't have much time left. Haha, Mecha, you should not be able to drive it normally. Alas, 1 month. I will try my best to teach you everything I know in my life. The prophet stood up, took Xia Xingchen's hand, and brought him back to the top of the holy mountain. Such a development was not expected by countless Liang people. The holy mountain is temporarily closed, and no one is allowed to visit. On the top of the mountain, the prophet and Xia Xingchen sat cross-legged face to face. The prophet closed his eyes, and mental fluctuations continued to be transmitted in his mind, resonating with Xia Xingchen's mental power. Scenes, truths, and laws of the universe were directly transmitted through mental power, and entered Xia Xingchen's mind. This is the prophet's lifelong learning, a vast amount of knowledge accumulated over thousands of years. It is not just dead knowledge in books, but more of the prophet's own experience and understanding. Summer insects cannot talk about ice. The prophet has a long life, and there are some truths that she spent a very long time to figure out thoroughly. This is a precious philosophy that those races with short lives cannot master in their entire lives. The prophet instilled everything he knew into Xia Xingchen's mind. Xia Xingchen felt that his brain was about to be filled. His temples were throbbing. He felt very tired and wanted to sleep. His brain seemed to contain a universe. The knowledge accumulated by the Prophet over thousands of years is really vast. Knowledge, technology, philosophy, and laws are the most precious things. They are much more precious than a weapon, a mecha, or a battleship. It's just a pity that Xia Xingchen has limited experience. The Prophet's knowledge is stuffed into his brain all at once, just like a huge library. All the knowledge is still dead for the time being, and he needs to slowly comprehend and experience it himself. The knowledge taught by others is dead after all. Only the knowledge you comprehend is your own. Although this knowledge cannot be used effectively, Xia Xingchen is also very grateful to the Prophet. In addition, Xia Xingchen has an extremely happy discovery. The scope of the omniscient field he controls has inexplicably become larger. Xia Xingchen's master Roger once said that Xia Xingchen's field should be an unfinished field. Xia Xingchen didn't even know the name of his field, but based on the characteristics of the field, it was temporarily named Omniscient Field. The expansion of the scope of the field means that the field is still growing, and the method of growth is obviously directly related to the massive knowledge taught by the Prophet. Omniscience domain. Does it mean that the more I know, the more knowledge and technology I understand, and the more laws of the universe I comprehend, then my domain will evolve and become more and more perfect? Xia Xingchen immediately deduced the method of evolution of his own domain. For Xia Xingchen, this is a huge gain second only to the knowledge itself. The direct transmission of knowledge by mental power is called telepathy in the supernatural power system developed by humans. It is not surprising that the Prophet, as a sage of the Liang tribe, knows telepathy. After 3 full days, a huge amount of knowledge was transmitted to Xia Xingchen's mind. The Prophet looked very tired, but at the same time, her expression was very happy. She finally put down the last big stone in her heart. The structure of the human brain is indeed extraordinary. It can store such a huge amount of knowledge in a short period of time. We, the Liang tribe, are ashamed of ourselves in this regard. The Prophet looked amazed. Humans are descendants of ancient humans. Although their genes are locked, their talents are still deeply engraved in their genes. Compared with other races, the advantages of humans are revealed. This is the evolutionary choice of natural selection. Humans are weak in the flesh, so they can only rely on their brains. In fact, it is because your Liang tribe is too talented. They neglected the evolution of their brains. Xia Xingchen said modestly. The Prophet nodded, knowing that what Xia Xingchen said was true. Talent is important. But what is more important is the acquired efforts. The Liang tribe is still good. Although they have superior talents, the environment of the planet they live in is not good. They were born in the harsh underground at the beginning. After they came to the ground, they had to beware of the unstable Liang star. It is precisely because of the harsh environment that the Liang tribe evolved into a powerful race in the starry sky. However, compared with humans born on Earth, the Liang tribe has been blessed by ancient humans and obtained the light particle alienation technique, but they are still too comfortable. In the next 20 days, the Prophet has been explaining to Xia Xingchen the various issues that should be paid attention to when practicing the light particle alienation technique. The Prophet's guidance made Xia Xingchen feel that he benefited a lot. Xia Xingchen was very excited. If he was given enough time, with the help of the light particle alienation technique, his mental power level would definitely have a big leap. Time passed in a flash, and it was finally time to set sail. The Queen personally led 1,000 fiery sun warriors, ready to drive the meteorite spaceship, rush to the fiery sun star, and hunt the 3-legged golden crow. These warriors were all wearing armor, heroic, holding various weapons in their hands, and gathered in front of the holy mountain with boiling fighting spirit. The fiery sun tribe is a race that worships their ancestors. Before leaving, they came to pray for the blessings of their ancestors. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1179 Energy Creatures. In front of the Holy Mountain, Queen Kilu led 1,000 sun hunters, took off their rock armor, and walked along the narrow mountain road, step by step, towards the top of the Holy Mountain. The group walked very slowly. Every time they met a stone statue of their ancestors on the roadside, they would bow 3 times, and kowtow 9 times, and offer tribute. For thousands of years, the ancestors and sages of the Liang clan have turned into stone statues on the Holy Mountain Road, and the number is more than 1,000. The queen looked pious and solemn, and led the Liang warriors to stop and kowtow to each stone statue. Everyone understood in their hearts. This trip to Liang Star, to hunt the 3-legged golden crow, is a life and death journey, and there is no return. The chance of success is extremely slim. Most of them will be buried on Liang Star, their bodies burned by the high temperature, and directly vaporized, and even their corpses cannot come back. But for the future of the Liang clan, they are willing to sacrifice their lives. Stopping every step, kowtowed, offered tribute, and whispered to pray for the protection of their ancestors. Queen Kilu was wearing a white plain dress, and her face was no longer arrogant and domineering. A group of people followed the queen. The setting sun shone on them, and the setting sun in the distance was like blood, and the atmosphere was tragic. The wind is whistling, and the Ishu River is cold, and the warriors will never come back once they leave. Xia Xingchen stood on the top of the mountain, looking down at the crowd on the mountain road, feeling something in his heart, and whispering in a low voice. Finally, Queen Kilu led people to the top of the mountain, ignored Xia Xingchen standing aside, walked to the prophet, and bowed to the stone statue of the ancestors on the top of the mountain. The final ceremony was presided over by the prophet himself. She sang ancient ballads in her mouth, and communicated with the ancestors through music. A miracle happened. The stone statues that should have been dead for a long time actually made a low hum, and followed the prophet's tune. The whole holy mountain was shrouded in low and ancient ballads, and every stone statue was singing in a low voice. Hearing such a strange sound, Xia Xingchen's face changed, but he quickly calmed down. This should be a strange resonance phenomenon. It is not the resurrection of the soul. There are no ghosts in the world. The existence of celestial beings with spiritual bodies is called soul bodies. It is a special form of life, not a ghost that turns into after death. However, the people of Liang tribe believed that it was the appearance of their ancestors. They knelt down one by one, their faces full of surprise, and whispered, "The ancestors have appeared. The ancestors have been protecting us." The singing stopped, and the ceremony was over. The prophet looked at Queen Kilu and whispered, "Go to Liang Star. Do you have any way to resist the high temperature?" Queen Kilu offered the golden scepter with both hands. "I have the holy object Liang scepter." "Not enough." The prophet shook his head slowly. "Liang scepter is certainly useful. However, it consumes a lot of your mental power, and cannot be used for a long time. This is my last wish." After the prophet finished speaking, he walked to the center of the top of the holy mountain with a cane and staggered steps. The cane slowly fell down, and the tip of the cane pierced into the ground. Rumble. The mountain shook, making a thunderous sound, shaking the earth, and filling the air with smoke and dust. No one knew what happened, and thought it was an earthquake. The shaking stopped soon, and the entire holy mountain peeled off, the soil slid down, and the true appearance was revealed. It was a huge meteorite spaceship. The prophet spent thousands of years to turn the holy mountain into a meteorite spaceship, just for today. And she herself stood on the top of the mountain, and her whole body had turned into a stone statue. Her life had completely come to an end, and the fire of life was extinguished. Teacher. Lord Prophet. Prophet. The prophet who led the Liang tribe used her life today to pave the final road for the Liang tribe. Everyone present cried and knelt in front of her stone statue. Queen Kilu felt extremely guilty. She now completely understood that everything the prophet did was for the Liang tribe, and he had no intention of competing with her for power. She was judging others by her own standards. Tears could not stop falling. She was no longer the queen with tough and overbearing means. Instead, she was a little girl who nestled in the arms of the prophet, looked up at the endless starry sky, and asked questions curiously about the twinkling stars. Xia Xingchen sighed. In the face of disaster, life is as weak as weeds. If humans were like the Liang tribe, facing a catastrophe, could they unite as one and devote everyone's strength to preserve the fire of civilization? Maybe not. Xia Xingchen shook his head and smiled bitterly. Compared with humans, the Liang tribe can be called weak. However, the Liang tribe is very united and cohesive. They are united by Queen Kilu and are of one mind. However, due to the instigation of the gods, humans are falling apart and are in civil war. There is no unity at all. Xia Xingchen knows very well that the plan of the gods to destroy humans is gradually being carried out, and a great disaster against humans is quietly unfolding. As the inheritor of ancient humans, Xia Xingchen has little time left. The prophet opened the holy mountain as a passage for the meteorite spacecraft at the cost of his life. Wiping the tears from her face, Queen Kilu led the Liang warriors into the holy mountain. Xia Xingchen also followed the large army in. Queen Kilu did not agree, but did not stop him. All the Liang people treated Xia Xingchen as heir. The interior of the meteorite spacecraft was full of stones, and there was no sense of technology at all. Xia Xingchen could not even understand what the power of this spacecraft was. However, the biggest possibility was that it was powered by solar energy. Although the queen gave an order, the entire holy mountain rose from the ground and flew towards the sky. Although its speed was not as fast as the Star Domain Arc, it was much faster than ordinary human warships. Liang Star. Standing at the bow of the Holy Mountain spacecraft, Xia Xingchen looked through a window and watched Liang Star getting closer and closer to him. He was excited and clenched his hands tightly. Even now, stars are still celestial bodies that humans cannot explore. The Royal Scientific Research Institute of Lingju Star has countless plans to explore the starry sky, including plans to explore the boundless abyss of stars and even black holes. However, the star exploration plan has been stranded. Many scientists even assert that it is impossible for life to exist on stars, and any matter will be instantly vaporized by high temperature when it approaches a star. However, the vast knowledge obtained from the prophet told Xia Xingchen that there is life on stars. It is not an ordinary life form, but an energy creature. The three-legged golden crow is a typical energy creature. Energy creatures have no form of their own, exist in the form of energy bodies, and feed directly on energy. Stars, huge fireballs that constantly undergo nuclear fusion and release light and heat energy, are the hotbed of energy creatures. In addition to the three-legged golden crow, there are other energy creatures on stars, such as the sun whale and the sun-shining kunpeng. The universe is infinite and full of unknowns. In front of the mysterious universe, humans are just ignorant children who have just learned to walk. Chapter 1180 Death Leap. As the Holy Mountain spacecraft got closer and closer to the sun star, the temperature inside the spacecraft began to rise sharply. At the same time, the star became larger and larger in the field of vision, looking extremely magnificent. The Sun tribe was born from the ground, and their bodies can withstand high temperatures, but humans can't. The scorching heat made Xia Xingchen sweat profusely. Even if he didn't move, beads of sweat continued to flow down his face. The mecha combat suit with automatic temperature adjustment function was of little use. Xia Xingchen could only use the mental barrier to isolate the high temperature, but the long-term use of the barrier consumed a huge amount of his mental power. Seeing Xia Xingchen's face full of sweat and an embarrassed look, the Sun Tribe members passing by couldn't help but smile sarcastically. It turns out that humans can't stand such high temperatures. The human body is too weak. It can't even stand this temperature. When we get to the Sun Star, we have to roast him. Xia Xingchen defeated Jert, the first Sun warrior. Not only the queen, but also the other Sun Tribe members were resentful. This time, they finally found the weakness of human beings, and of course they ridiculed them mercilessly. The environment of the star is really terrible. High temperature, high energy, strong radiation, raging energy storms. Just getting close makes people feel the terrifying destructive power. This is an absolute forbidden zone for life. If this continues, we will be burned to ashes before we get close. Xia Xingchen persisted and sighed in his heart. Not to mention the current technology of human beings, even the Star Domain Arc cannot stay on the surface of the star. However, as the Liang clan who has been fighting against the Liang star for 10,000 years, they should have a way to deal with it. The distance is getting closer and closer. Xia Xingchen is still insisting, sitting cross-legged in the starry sky barrier, sweating profusely, resisting the scorching heat of the Liang star. Finally, the Liang clan couldn't hold on. Some of them began to faint, dehydrated, and even had life-threatening conditions. The Queen then gave an order to turn on the equipment of the Holy Mountain spacecraft. Countless rays of light are now converging on the Holy Mountain meteorite spacecraft that looks like a mountain. The surrounding starry sky even dimmed, and a large number of light particles poured into the engine compartment of the Holy Mountain, allowing its engine to run at full power. The energy system of the Holy Mountain is indeed solar energy. After absorbing a large amount of solar energy, the temperature of the space near the Holy Mountain dropped a lot, and it also used this energy to open the protective shield and the air conditioning system in the cabin. The temperature dropped suddenly. Xia Xingchen was like a thirsty traveler in the desert, who finally arrived at the oasis lake and came back to life. Use solar energy to cool down. Great! Xia Xingchen exclaimed. At the same time, Xia Xingchen had a flash of inspiration in his mind, and he immediately sat cross-legged, bathed in the sun, and began to operate the light particle alienation technique. A large number of light particles poured into Xia Xingchen's mind and transformed into pure mental power. At the same time, these mental powers were used to maintain the starry sky barrier to regulate the temperature around the body. In this way, Xia Xingchen's body temperature finally returned to normal. It works. Xia Xingchen clenched his hands and was excited. The distance between the Holy Mountain and the Liang star is very close, and the expressions of the Liang people on the ship are all solemn. As we all know, the temperature of the solar corona of a star is extremely high, even up to 1 million degrees. Even energy creatures like the three-legged golden crow cannot survive in the solar corona. According to the records left by the ancestors of the Liang clan, the three-legged golden crow lives in the photosphere of the Liang star, and they like to cruise in the solar dark area. The so-called solar dark area is an area composed of patches of sunspots. The temperature here is the lowest part of the interior of the star. Even so, the temperature is still as high as 3000 degrees. The high temperature of 3000 degrees is far beyond the limit that humans can bear. However, the Liang clan can barely bear it. The Holy Mountain meteorite spacecraft did not immediately enter the high temperature area of the Liang star, but cruised in the nearby starry sky. It is accumulating energy to prepare for the next jump. The temperature in the solar corona area is too high, and vertical landing and breaking through from the front is completely a suicidal act. The only way to pass is to jump directly across the solar corona area and enter the solar dark area in the photosphere. However, this only method, in Xia Xingchen's view, is no different from committing suicide. The radiation of stars is extremely terrifying and will affect the normal use of instruments and equipment. Transition is an extremely delicate behavior. A slight mistake can lead to a huge mistake. Moreover, the thickness of the photosphere of Liang star is only 700 kilometers, and it is necessary to accurately transition into the constantly moving solar black domain. Even if a small card-level super-optical computer is used to calculate the transition trajectory, there is more than 80% chance of failure. However, the Liang people are all determined to win, and full of confidence. From their conversation, Xia Xingchen realized that they rely not on technology, not optical computer calculations, but experience. That's right, it's experience. No one knows the trajectory and environment of Liang star better than the Liang clan. The ancestors of the Liang clan left extremely complete information and left transition coordinates. At a specific time, Liang star will move to a specific location, and there will be no problem using the coordinates to transition. All members, get ready. Coordinates have been determined. Jumping begins. The Holy Mountain spaceship has been replenished with sufficient energy. Following the Queen's order, the spaceship made a death jump towards the fiery sun star. I won't die just like that. Facing the huge fiery sun star, Xia Xingchen couldn't help swallowing his saliva, and his heart was extremely nervous. He had experienced countless critical moments when his life was hanging by a thread, and had also done many crazy things. However, jumping into the interior of a star was undoubtedly the craziest one. Swish! A flash of light passed, and the Holy Mountain spaceship disappeared into the starry sky. It's so hot. It's so hot. Not long after, Xia Xingchen was awakened by a strong burning sensation. He felt like Sun Wukong in the bag with furnace. All the hair on his body was bent, and his body was about to burn. Starry sky barrier. Xia Xingchen immediately used the starry sky barrier, but found that it was useless. The surrounding area of his body was still unbearably hot. Qinglang Mecha. Xia Xingchen quickly took out the Qinglang Mecha from his personal space, wanting to use the temperature control system on the mecha to resist the high temperature. However, the Azure Dragon Mech started to burn like a torch. Xia Xingchen was so scared that he quickly took the Azure Dragon Mech back. As a result, the damage rate exceeded 90%. Although it could be repaired, it still made him feel distressed. The basic skeleton of the Azure Dragon Mech was made of the Azure Dragon Sacred Wood. Although the Azure Dragon Sacred Wood was impervious to water and fire, it was made of wood after all. Fire overcomes wood, and the Azure Dragon Mech could not withstand such high temperatures at all. If it was a few seconds later, I'm afraid it would be burned to ashes. Chapter 1181 Star Hunting. The weakness of the Azure Dragon Mech is the high temperature of the flame. Previously, in the lava sea under the Demon Star, the Azure Dragon Mech could not exert its full performance, and was suppressed by the environment. There is nothing perfect in the world, and the same is true for mechas. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Xia Xingchen was so hot that he didn't even have time to check the surrounding environment. He only felt that there was a sea of fire around him, and everything he saw was a dazzling red, and he could hardly open his eyes. Hai Mech. Suddenly, an idea flashed, and Xia Xingchen took out the Hai Mech from his personal space, and immediately got into it. Xia Xingchen's mental power level was not enough to drive the Hai Mech, but he was able to use the life support system in the mech. Life support system activated. With Xia Xingchen's low shout, the mech suddenly felt cool, the heat dissipated, and he felt indescribably comfortable all over his body, and he instantly came alive. The environment of the star was too harsh, and even ancient humans could not walk on the star with their bodies, so they created the Hai Mech. Hai Mecha is a mecha made for the special environment of stars. There is a heat insulation layer on the armor and a temperature control system in the cockpit to keep the temperature in the cabin at about 20 degrees, which is a suitable temperature. Xia Xingchen rested for a while, and then he had time to explore the situation outside. Outside the Holy Mountain spaceship, there was a sea of fire. There were red flames everywhere, as far as the eye could see, like the turbulent sea. The temperature outside was 3000 degrees Celsius, and the Holy Mountain spaceship accurately jumped to the solar black area of the star's photosphere. 3000 degrees, this is the lowest temperature in the star. If it were any other place, even the Holy Mountain spaceship and Hai Mecha would not be able to support it. It seems that the landing was successful. Xia Xingchen was delighted. The high temperature of 3000 degrees, after being reduced by the Holy Mountain spaceship, the temperature inside the ship was 700 degrees, which was barely bearable for the Liang clan. Long live. Successful landing. I thought I was going to die, but I didn't expect it to be successful. Long live the Queen. The Sun Hunters found that the spaceship had landed safely in the solar black area, and they all roared excitedly. The Queen was also very excited. She waved the golden scepter in her hand and ordered, "Everyone take a break for an hour. In an hour, I will lead the team to hunt the sun whale. The three-legged crow is very cunning and likes to devour the sun whale the most. We hunt enough sun whales as bait to lure the three-legged crow out." "Yes, sir." The sun hunters roared. "Hey, Haoyi. That's right. It's Haoyi. The Haoyi mecha has really fallen into the hands of humans. Are humans really the saviors?" At this time, some sun hunters discovered that a huge mecha had appeared in the cabin out of thin air. It was the legendary Haoyi. They all gathered around and exclaimed, "Haoyi, in the legend of the Liang clan, is synonymous with the savior." Most of the sun hunters did not believe in their hearts that Xia Xingchen was the savior. However, in the harsh environment of Liang Star, they were all very nervous about going out to hunt the sun whales. The sudden appearance of Hai's mecha was like a shot of cardiotonic for them. They had a glimmer of hope in their hearts. They immediately knelt on the ground and prayed in a low voice, hoping that Hai could bless them so that they could win the battle and successfully hunt the three-legged crow. In a blink of an eye, more and more people from the Liang tribe knelt in front of Xia Xingchen and prayed devoutly. They placed their hopes on the rumored savior. Some even hoped that Xia Xingchen could lead them to hunt the three-legged crow. The Queen did not stop this situation. To be honest, she was not confident at the moment. The environment of the star was much harsher than she had imagined, and she had no confidence at the moment whether she could successfully hunt the three-legged crow. Prophet teacher, do you believe in that human? Maybe he is really the savior. The queen also had a glimmer of hope in her heart. On the Hawaii Mecha, Xia Xingchen faced the prayers of the Liang tribe with a bitter smile on his face. Savior, am I really? Xia Xingchen was also doubtful in his heart. Not to mention hunting the three-legged crow, he couldn't even leave the Hawaii Mecha now. Xia Xingchen felt that he had failed the expectations of the Liang people. An hour passed quickly, and the queen finished her rest. She personally led 600 sun hunters to prepare for hunting in the Sun Black region. The other 400 stayed to guard the Holy Mountain spaceship. Human, you keep saying that you are the savior. Since you are the savior, then let's go hunting together. Isn't this the purpose of your visit? The queen turned her head and shouted to Xia Xingchen. This, I won't go for the time being. Xia Xingchen said helplessly, as he had not yet fully controlled the Hawaii Mecha. Xia Xingchen's words made the sun hunters silent for a while, and all of them showed disappointment on their faces. Really not going? The queen's eyes were also disappointed. Xia Xingchen was silent. It was not that he didn't want to go, but that he was really not strong enough. Forget it. I thought too much. This is originally a Liang clan's business, and has nothing to do with outsiders. The queen shook her head, her heart sank to the bottom of the valley, and whispered, Prophet teacher, you have the wrong person. What? The savior is not going to hunt? Why not? Is he afraid? Coward. Humans are really cowards. I just knelt down to him, and prayed to him devoutly. I'm really blind. Hey, I knelt down too. I didn't expect that he was actually a coward. The Liang warriors talked a lot. They originally had great expectations for Xia Xingchen. As a result, the greater the expectations, the greater the disappointment. The harsh curses came one after another, falling into Xia Xingchen's ears, making his heart ache. I'm still too arrogant. Hey, my strength is not enough. Xia Xingchen clenched his hands tightly, with a look of grief and indignation on his face. Let's go. There are many dangers on the Sun Star, and accidents may happen at any time. Moreover, the Sun's black domain is constantly changing, and we don't have much time. Set off immediately. The queen gave an order, and led the sun hunters out of the Holy Mountain spaceship. Hot. Too hot. It's so hot. The temperature is too high. We can't bear it. Our bodies are burning. The moment they stepped out of the spaceship, the sun hunters couldn't help but wail. The temperature inside the spaceship was 700 degrees, and they could still barely support it, but the temperature outside was 3000 degrees, and they couldn't bear it immediately. Don't panic. The queen shouted and waved the golden scepter in her hand. Sun scepter. The golden scepter flashed and released a circular field with a radius of 1 kilometer, covering the sun hunters. The temperature dropped sharply. The sun hunters stopped wailing, and followed the queen, condensing the rock armor, and flying deep into the star. Chapter 1182 Sun Whale. The scepter of the fiery sun is the sacred object of the fiery sun clan. It can release a domain, and control energy on a large scale. Relying on the scepter of the fiery sun, the queen has the confidence to hunt on the fiery sun star. Seeing the queen leading the hunting team away, Xia Xingchen felt very uncomfortable. However, Xia Xingchen quickly adjusted himself, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It doesn't matter. If you are not strong enough, I will strengthen my strength. It's not too late now. Xia Xingchen regained his confidence. Light particle alienation technique. Xia Xingchen didn't think much about it. He sat cross-legged in the cockpit of Hai's Mecha. According to the prophet's teachings, he began to operate the secret technique and meditate. Xia Xingchen quickly entered a state of meditation, and the whole person turned into a stone statue, unable to move. Countless light particles instantly transformed into mental power, pouring into Xia Xingchen's mind like a flood, gathering on the mental power planet, making it grow rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, and become even bigger. If Xia Xingchen's mental power grew like a stream when he was meditating before, then now it is like the surging sea. Light particle alienation technique is too terrifying. Xia Xingchen was extremely shocked. The efficiency of his mental power growth at this moment was 100 times, or even 1000 times, higher than the highest level before. In addition to the fact that the light particle alienation technique itself was very terrifying, the biggest reason was that Xia Xingchen was on the surface of a star at this moment, and the light particles were extremely dense. Practicing on the surface of a star was a fantasy for a legendary mecha master. This time, the opportunity to practice was unique. Xia Xingchen was like a dry desert, absorbing all the rainwater, madly absorbing mental power. Breakthrough. Mental power level 52. The vast infusion of mental power allowed Xia Xingchen to break through to levels without any obstacles, and his mental power strength doubled. You know, even for a peerless genius like Wan Yui, it took several years to increase his mental power from level 50 to level 52. Xia Xingchen only took a few hours. Moreover, there was no bottleneck in the middle. After the mental power level broke through level 52, Xia Xingchen's mental power strength continued to grow steadily, but the speed obviously slowed down. Xia Xingchen was not in a hurry. He unfolded his omniscience domain and realized the changes brought to himself by the 2-level increase in mental power. After becoming an S-class mecha master, the total amount of mental power will increase exponentially with each level increase in mental power. Xia Xingchen's mental power strength, due to the condensation of the crystal pyramid, is already several times that of other mecha masters. Therefore, these 2 levels of improvement have made Xia Xingchen's mental power even more vast. The most intuitive manifestation is that Xia Xingchen was originally unable to drive the Hawaii mecha, but now he can drive it without overdrawing his mental power and encountering life-threatening danger. A few hours later, the Queen led the Liang warriors back to the Holy Mountain spaceship. The Queen originally took 600 Liang warriors to hunt, but only 500 came back. Moreover, they were all empty-handed, and the rock armor on their bodies was damaged. Their faces were full of fear, and some people's bodies were still trembling. The Queen's face was also full of fatigue. The long-term continuous use of the Liang scepter consumed her mental power, and she had to come back to repair it. Obviously, the Queen's first hunt ended in failure. It's so scary. I've never seen such a scary creature. The sun whale. I didn't expect there are creatures inside stars. The sun whale is so huge. It swims in the sea of fire of stars. When it flaps its tail, a huge wave of fire rises. It instantly devours our companions and turns them into ashes. If it weren't for Her Majesty the Queen, we would all be wiped out. The 3-legged golden crow feeds on the sun whale. We can't even deal with the sun whale. How can we be the opponent of the 3-legged golden crow? The morale of the Liang clan was extremely low. Those who survived were terrified and whispered to those who stayed on the ship about the horror of the sun whale. Xia Xingchen, who was standing by, heard everything. The sun whale, the energy creature in the legend. What does it look like? Xia Xingchen was extremely curious. Energy creatures are still the most cutting-edge subject for humans, and are creatures that scientists have speculated about. Xia Xingchen really wanted to see it with his own eyes. 2 hours later, the Queen replenished her mental power through the light particle alienation technique, and took the Liang warriors hunting again. This time, she brought 800 people, and only 100 people stayed on the ship. Xia Xingchen was completely ignored by the Liang tribe. Everyone thought he was a complete coward who only dared to hide in the spaceship. Xia Xingchen did not argue, waiting for the Queen to lead the people to go out, and immediately used his mental power clone, driving the Hawaii mecha, and quietly left the Holy Mountain spaceship. Xia Xingchen's body stayed in the Holy Mountain spaceship to continue practicing. The temperature in the cabin was still 700 degrees, but the improvement of the mental power level gave Xia Xingchen the ability to resist high temperatures. The mental power clone drove the Hawaii mecha into the sun's black domain. Sure enough, my mental power clone is pure mental power, not a physical body, and I can't feel the temperature. It's not hot at all. Xia Xingchen's clone drove the Hawaii mecha and flew in the 3000 degree high temperature sun's black domain very easily. Maintaining the existence of the mental power clone requires a lot of mental power. However, Xia Xingchen's main body performed the light particle alienation technique in the Holy Mountain spacecraft, constantly converting light particles into mental power, which can completely make up for the consumption of the mental power clone. The mental power clone controlled Hawaii's mecha to fly in the solar black domain. It was much easier for one person to act than the queen leading a hunting team of 800 people. Where are the energy creatures? I want to see them. Xia Xingchen was very interested in this special life form of energy creatures, and his eyes were full of excitement. However, the star is too huge. Even the solar black domain is unimaginably large. Hai's mecha has an amazing speed, and it is above the Kinglang mecha in actual combat traveling in the sky. This mecha uses solar energy as its power, and when fighting on a star, its energy is equal to infinite, and its performance is terrifying. What is ahead? The temperature is extremely high. It seems to be the edge of the solar black domain. Xia Xingchen was shocked. The sea of fire ahead was extremely bright, even incandescent, and the temperature was terrifyingly high, reaching millions of degrees. Ah, it's a flare, Xia Xingchen exclaimed, and immediately turned around. The temperature inside the sun's photosphere is not uniform. The temperature inside the sun's dark zone is very low, but the temperature of the flare is terrifyingly high. Chapter 1183 Sun Yao Kunpeng. Woo. A bright and heart-pounding high whistle sounded inside the flare. The violent solar storm suddenly spread to tens of thousands of kilometers with the whistle. A huge body of tens of thousands of kilometers appeared in the center of the solar storm. It was silver white all over, and covered with crystal clear energy crystals, like scales, full of power and beauty. Silver claws, a silver head like a bird, and a pair of silver scale wings 10,000 kilometers long. This is a huge creature made of energy. Its body is too huge, beyond human imagination. The terrifying energy pressure overflowed from its body. The wings vibrated slightly, rolling up one after another powerful solar storm. The terrifying solar storm. It was actually caused by the vibration of its wings. Sun Kunpeng, the strongest energy creature among the stars. The three-legged golden crow is also the food of Sun Kunpeng. This creature is a legendary beast. It only exists in legends. Even if ordinary people want to see it once, it is wishful thinking. This is the energy creature. Xia Xingchen looked at the vague figure that appeared in the sun, and the whole person was completely stunned. After a moment of stunned silence, Hai's mecha retreated, as if it was escaping. Sun Kunpeng did not chase, but continued to bathe and soar in the sea of fire of the flare, with a roar resounding to the sky, flapping its wings, and setting off solar storms. In the eyes of energy creatures, physical elemental creatures like humans are no different from a speck of dust. What's more, Sun Kunpeng can only live in extremely high temperature flares. Even if it enters the solar black zone, it will be frozen to death due to the low temperature. Returning to the center of the solar black zone, Xia Xingchen still had lingering fears. Small. Compared with a terrifying energy creature like Sun Kunpeng, humans are really too small. Xia Xingchen was shocked. At this time, under the sea of fire, a huge shadow of 1,000 meters long suddenly appeared, and a pillar of scorching sun fire shot up into the sky, and attacked Hai's mecha. Roar. A huge beast like a whale opened its mouth, and wanted to swallow Hai's mecha in one bite. At the critical moment, Xia Xingchen controlled Hai's mecha to rush forward suddenly, and avoid the sudden attack of the giant beast. This is the sun whale? Xia Xingchen turned his head and looked at the giant beast in front of him, his eyes full of astonishment. This is a kilometer-long energy creature. After seeing the Sun Kunpeng, this creature's huge body of a kilometer-long body seemed very cute to Xia Xingchen. It is made of pure energy all over, and there are no energy crystals on the surface of its body. The overall shape is a whale, with a big mouth, no teeth, and no eyes on the head. Its body is filled with scorching heat, and blazing flames are burning around its body. The flames spread all around, covering a range of thousands of kilometers around. This is the sun whale. According to the knowledge left by the prophet, the sun whale does not have sensory organs such as eyes and noses. They use the flames that diffuse from their bodies to sense the temperature changes around them and locate themselves. The sun whale's perception method is a bit like the ultrasonic positioning of bats. The only difference is that bats use ultrasonic waves, while sun whales use temperature. Solar whale. Stellar energy creatures are at the bottom of the food chain. Are creatures at the bottom so terrifying? Xia Xingchen was shocked. This solar whale was obviously very interested in Hai's mecha. After missing the attack, the hole in its head opened again, spewing out a stream of scorching flames and attacking Xia Xingchen. Xia's mecha made a dodging move in the air and easily avoided the attack. Beast. How dare you attack me? I will kill you. Xia Xingchen raised the corners of his mouth. Xia's mecha took off the sun shooting bow from behind and condensed a silver arrow on the bowstring with mental power. He pulled the bowstring to the full moon and shot it towards the head of the solar whale. Boom. The arrow was like a mad dragon, hitting the solar whale hard. Xia Xingchen had also used the sun shooting bow to fight before, but the power of the arrow at this moment was more than 10,000 times higher than before. First, this is a genuine sun shooting bow. Second, the sun shooting bow is the standard weapon of Xia Mecha, and Xia Mecha can only exert its maximum power when it is used. Third, Xia Xingchen's strength is no longer what it used to be. Even Xia Xingchen himself couldn't help but sigh at the powerful attack of the sun shooting bow. However, this powerful attack, when it hit the sun whale, was like a drop in the ocean and did not cause any damage. Roar. The sun whale was attacked and went crazy. It opened its mouth and sprayed out terrifying flames, trying to burn this tiny creature that dared to hurt itself to death. Xia Xingchen dodged the attack while thinking about the reason. Energy creatures are different from us. They have no entity, and my attack is ineffective. Xia Xingchen thought, frowning. What can I do? Then it is invincible? There can be no perfect creatures in the universe. There is no invincibility. Even the gods have their own weaknesses. Although energy creatures are a kind of peculiar high-level creatures, they must have their own weaknesses. However, humans know too little about energy creatures, so they will be at a loss for a while. Omniscience. Expand. Xia Xingchen's mind moved, and he immediately expanded the omniscience. Xia Xingchen obtained the knowledge taught by the prophet, and the omniscience evolved. At this moment, the range was already a kilometer, just enough to cover the entire body of the sun whale. Under the coverage of the omniscience, nothing could escape. Found it. Xia Xingchen was delighted, and finally found that the energy in the sun whale's body was gathered on a 1 square meter energy crystal in the center of the body. Energy core. This is the weakness of the sun whale. Xia Xingchen pulled the sun shooting bow again and shot an arrow. Whoosh. The arrow flew out and accurately hit the energy core of the sun whale, destroying it. Ah. The sun whale rolled and wailed, and its kilometer-long energy body gradually crystallized and turned into a whole piece of energy crystal. Crystal clear and emitting light. Energy creatures are energy bodies when they are alive. They can be seen but not touched. They can only attack the energy core. After death, the energy solidifies and turns into energy crystals. Xia Xingchen was delighted. He drove the Xia Mecha closer and put the energy crystals into the portable space. Xia Xingchen was still a little confused. The three-legged golden crow is an energy creature. The Suzuki Mecha is made of the three-legged golden crow as a material. If it is a pure energy body, how can it be made into a mecha? Now Xia Xingchen finally understood that energy creatures will turn into energy crystals after death. Sun whale. Its strength is just so-so. Xia Xingchen's hunting went smoothly. He killed a sun whale without much effort. Chapter 1184 True Respect. Of course, Xia Xingchen knew very well that it was not that the sun whale was weak. Which creature that can survive in a star is an ordinary one? In the final analysis, it was because the performance of the Xia Mecha was too powerful. The Xia Mecha was completely made with the Shinran technology of ancient humans, and its technology level was thousands or even tens of thousands of years higher than that of humans. It was like a primitive man living in a cave, and suddenly someone got a Gatling gun with unlimited bullets, which was naturally invincible and unstoppable. It's time to go back. Xia Xingchen grinned, and immediately drove the Xia Mecha back to the Holy Mountain spaceship. The atmosphere on the spaceship was extremely heavy. The Queen's second hunt had ended, and she returned to the spaceship with the hunting team. This time, it was still unsuccessful. Moreover, the hunting team suffered even more losses than the last time. This time they found the sun whale, but the hunt failed. More than 200 people were swallowed by the sun whale, and the sun whale escaped. The morale, which was already low, plummeted at this moment. There was also a cloud of sorrow on the Queen's beautiful face. The surrounding sun hunters were all sighing and looking like they had lost confidence. Your Majesty, even the sun whale is so terrifying. We, 800 people, could not succeed in hunting together. The three-legged golden crow is even more terrifying. Otherwise, we should take a long-term view and leave here first, go back and rest, and then select strong warriors. Someone was already timid, and began to back off, and made a suggestion to the queen. The queen did not answer, but glared at the man fiercely. The difficulty of hunting the three-legged golden crow was beyond the queen's expectations. She was also very clear in her mind at this moment that the morale of the remaining 700 people had dropped to the brink of collapse, and it was impossible for them to support the third hunt. If she used her power as a queen to force the hunting to continue, these people might even mutiny under the huge pressure. Rebellion against her own authority. We must find a way to improve morale. The queen frowned tightly, and finally her eyes fell on Xia Xingchen, who had been sitting cross-legged with a gloomy face. Sure. The queen stood up, took a big step, walked to Xia Xingchen, and shouted with fierce eyes, "Human. It is because of your existence that our ancestors are furious. We have lost the blessing of our ancestors, and have failed in hunting. Stand up. Fight me like a warrior. I want to restore the honor of our people." The queen's words were extremely unreasonable. There was no logic at all. However, in ancient battlefields, before the battle, there was a custom of killing livestock and prisoners of war, and offering blood to the flag. Xia Xingchen was regarded as a tribute to the flag. The mood of the sun hunters was extremely low. When they heard the queen's words, they raised their heads one by one, and a strange light surged in their eyes. Fight. The queen wants to fight humans. Kill humans. It must be his cowardice that made our ancestors furious. Savior. Bah. You are so powerful, but you don't even dare to step out of the spaceship. The people of the Liang tribe were all crazy at this moment, shouting loudly. Now, the truth of the matter is no longer important. What is important is that the queen must fight Xia Xingchen to restore the morale of the sun hunters. Xia Xingchen's spiritual clone has returned at this moment, and he himself has also recovered from the petrified state. He looked up at the queen and smiled coldly. "Sorry, I don't accept it. Coward." The queen cursed and pointed at Xia Xingchen's nose. "You humans are all cowards. Total cowards. We are hunting sun whales and have suffered heavy losses, but you are hiding here. Don't make a mistake." Xia Xingchen thought of her words, and his face suddenly turned cold. "I don't accept your challenge. It's because you are not my opponent at all. What's more, your method of raising morale is extremely stupid and meaningless. Even if you raise morale again, can you successfully hunt the sun whale? You." The queen's mind was revealed by Xia Xingchen's words, and her face suddenly flushed, and she was embarrassed and speechless. HMPH. For the sake of the prophet, I will just assume that you were talking nonsense. Xia Xingchen snorted coldly and waved his hand gently. "This is the remains of the sun whale. You can take it." Swish. A kilometer-long energy crystal appeared in front of everyone, as crystal clear as crystal, emitting colorful light, and one could feel the huge energy contained in the crystal. The remains of the sun whale. At this moment, everyone's eyes widened, their mouths opened wide, and their mouths were wide enough to fit a light bulb. It was as incredible as it could be. It's really the remains of a sun whale. 800 of us went out hunting together, but we couldn't successfully hunt a sun whale. Where did this remains come from? How is it possible? How is it possible? Everyone cast their puzzled eyes on Xia Xingchen, waiting for his answer. "I just went out for a trip and hunted a sun whale by chance," Xia Xingchen said lightly with a calm expression. "By chance." All the members of the Liang tribe were stunned, blushing one by one, feeling ashamed. 800 people hunted twice, but failed to succeed. 300 people died during the hunting process, and the morale was so low that it almost collapsed. It was such a difficult hunt for the sun whale, but they managed it easily. She was just mocking humans as cowards? It was really ridiculous. The queen was even more ashamed, and she wanted to dive into the cracks in the floor of the spacecraft. After being shocked and ashamed, everyone present showed ecstasy on their faces. No matter how Xia Xingchen did it, he hunted the sun whale. This is a fact. The remains of the sun whale are right in front of them. At least they don't need to spend manpower and time to hunt the sun whale. Now they can start right away, using the sun whale as bait. to hunt the three-legged golden crow. The queen's expression kept changing. She hesitated again and again, pinched, and finally gritted her teeth, hardened her heart, stomped her feet, and walked to Xia Xingchen, respectfully saying, Marquis, please follow me, let's talk. The arrogant queen finally lowered her posture and personally invited Xia Xingchen to treat him as her guest of honor. The queen's attitude can be said to have taken a 180-degree turn. However, Xia Xingchen's eyes showed appreciation. As a king, you should be able to bend and stretch. Xia Xingchen knew in his heart that everything the queen did was for the Liang clan. The strength shown by Xia Xingchen finally moved the naturally arrogant queen of the Liang clan and won her respect. Chapter 1185. Terrifying Bird. My lord Marquis, I was wrong before. Please help me, help our Liang clan. The queen lowered her noble head and pleaded with Xia Xingchen in front of hundreds of tribesmen. Your Majesty, you don't have to beg me. Our goals are the same. Xia Xingchen smiled. Tell me your battle plan. The battle plan is very simple. The queen took a breath and calmed her mind. Now the conditions are complete. Just need to execute. The favorite food of the three-legged golden crow is the sun whale. Use the sun whale you captured as bait to lure the three-legged golden crow to appear, and I will lead the warriors to hunt together. However, the three-legged golden crow is a cunning creature with wisdom. I will lead the warriors to hide temporarily. When the three-legged golden crow appears, we will appear to hunt it. Yeah, it's similar to my idea. Xia Xingchen thought seriously for a while and thought that there was nothing wrong with the queen's battle plan, so he nodded in agreement. Both of them stretched out their hands and shook them gently, which was considered to be a real cooperative relationship. However, Xia Xingchen did not notice that the moment the queen turned her head, a mysterious smile flashed across her lips. Liang Star, Photosphere, Sun Black Domain. The body of the sun whale turned into a whole piece of energy crystal and placed it in the middle of a sea of fire. This place was recorded by the ancestors of the Liang clan as the place closest to the nest of the three-legged golden crow. In order to prevent any accidents, Xia Xingchen himself personally drove the mecha, holding the sun-shooting longbow, and waited around the energy crystal. Although the mental power clone is powerful and fearless of high temperatures, however, his mental power is divided into two, and his strength is severely weakened, only half of the original body. Facing such a powerful enemy as the three-legged golden crow, Xia Xingchen must go all out. As for the problem that Xia Xingchen's body cannot withstand high temperatures, the queen used the Liang scepter to unfold a domain within a radius of 1 kilometer around him, greatly reducing the temperature in the domain. Weapons that can cast domains. Xia Xingchen's eyes flashed with admiration. So far, this is the first time he has seen a weapon that can cast a domain. The power is so powerful that it is outrageous. A shrill and strange cry was transmitted directly into Xia Xingchen's mind. He immediately looked in the direction of the sound and saw a fierce bird with its whole body burning flying towards him from the depths of the sea of fire. This bird of prey was red as blood, had 3 legs, and was made of flames all over its body. It was more than 100 meters long. Although it was not as big as the sun whale, the oppression it brought was even more terrifying. Three-legged golden crow, the legendary beast. It has been circulated in the myths and legends of countless races. In human legends, the three-legged golden crow is also the incarnation of the sun. The sun is a symbol of warmth and vitality, and it is also the source of life. At the same time, the sun is hot, terrifying, and represents destruction. No human can get close to the sun. Just like the three-legged golden crow, it is fierce and radiates high temperature. Anyone who approaches it will be burned to ashes. The three-legged golden crow flies over the star, causing a solar storm, and the entire star is shaken. The god of destruction. The three-legged crow. The warriors of the Liang gathered their rock armor and hid aside with their weapons in hand. When they saw the three-legged crow flying over, they couldn't help but gasp. In the legend of the Liang tribe, the three-legged crow is the god of destruction, who destroys everything in the world, and has a great reputation. Seeing it with their own eyes, every member of the Liang tribe was trembling in their hearts, and even had the urge to kneel down and worship. Their knees couldn't stop shaking, and their bodies trembled. The legend of the three-legged crow god of destruction is not just a legend, but a real thing that happened. 10,000 years ago, warriors from generation to generation of the Liang tribe climbed the Liang star to hunt the three-legged crow. Unfortunately, almost all of them failed. This failure is deeply rooted, written in the genes of the Liang tribe and deep in their memories. If it weren't for the ancient humans, the Liang tribe would have been destroyed by the three-legged crow long ago. The appearance of the three-legged crow shocked the warriors of the Liang tribe. Even the proud and confident queen changed her face, and a strange look appeared in her eyes. Xia Xingchen's heart trembled, and after being shocked, the corners of his mouth turned up, a smile appeared, and his eyes were burning. I finally found it. Killing you can not only save the Liang clan. Moreover, I can make a new Suzuki mecha. The three-legged golden crow is indeed terrifying. The terrifying energy contained in its body, the pressure it brought to Xia Xingchen, even exceeded that of Master Roger. The stronger the three-legged golden crow, the stronger the Suzuki mecha made of it. Just thinking about it, Xia Xingchen was very excited, and his blood was boiling. You know, the process of making the Suzuki mecha is much more difficult than making the Azure Dragon mecha. The skeleton of the Azure Dragon mecha is the Azure Dragon sacred wood. Although it is precious, it can be bought with money after all. The skeleton of the Suzuki mecha is the three-legged golden crow of energy creatures living on stars. No matter how much money you spend, you can't buy it. The three-legged golden crow smelled the scent of the sun whale, and immediately flapped its wings and flew over, ignoring Xia Xingchen, as if he were nothing. It was just a fierce and raging three-legged crow, its whole body burning with flames. It was huge, and it opened its mouth to spray out dazzling golden light, completely covering the light of the star. It spit out fire, golden fire. The temperature of this fire is as high as 30,000 degrees, which can burn all element known to mankind. So strong. Xia Xingchen felt the danger and immediately drove the Hai mecha to dodge according to the predetermined plan. The three-legged crow pounced on the body of the sun whale, ignoring the tiny Hai mecha at all, lowered its head, and swallowed the energy crystals in big mouthfuls, making low calls from time to time. Gap, gap, gap. The three-legged crow was calling its companions to enjoy the body of the sun whale together. Sure enough, hundreds of three-legged crows flew out from the depths of the star. Hundreds of three-legged crows flew together. Countless red mushroom clouds rose from behind them, and energy vortexes rolled up under their wings one after another, enough to destroy the planet. That scene was simply the end of the world. Even Xia Xingchen was sweating all over at this moment, and his body was shaking uncontrollably. The three-legged crow is too terrifying, and the energy contained in its body is too overbearing. 100 three-legged crows are even more terrifying. But everything is as expected. Xia Xingchen took a breath and tried to calm himself down as much as possible. He was not fighting alone, and there were 700 fiery sun warriors of the fiery sun clan behind him. There was also the queen of the fiery sun clan with unfathomable strength. Queen, take action. Xia Xingchen sent a mental wave to the queen. However, there was no response. Xia Xingchen's heart skipped a beat, and he suddenly realized that something was wrong. He did not give up, and sent mental waves again, but there was still no response. Swish. The field cast by the fiery sun scepter on Hai's mecha was originally shrouded in the field that could greatly reduce the temperature. However, with a slight sound, the field suddenly disappeared, and the heat swept Xia Xingchen's body again. It's broken. Xia Xingchen quickly expanded his spiritual sense, and was shocked to find that the queen and the 700 sun hunter warriors who were ambushing behind him had disappeared without a trace. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1186 Betrayal. Hundreds of three-legged golden crows flew over in an overwhelming manner. This scene made the Sun Hunter warriors tremble and their hearts and bodies collapse on the ground. The sky and the earth were all red, and even the light of the fiery sun star seemed dim at this moment. Your Majesty, we are ready. We can go to war at any time. Conquer the god of destruction. Although Orin was terrified, she still forced herself to report to the queen. It's almost done. A cold light flashed on the queen's face. She looked deeply at Xia Xingchen in front of her and said in a deep voice, "All Sun Hunter warriors obey my orders and retreat." Retreat? Hearing these two words, the 700 Sun Hunter warriors simply doubted their ears. At this critical moment, the queen actually wanted to retreat. Could it be that she was frightened by the fierce power of the three-legged golden crow and was terrified and retreated? The Sun Hunter warriors stared at the queen's cold and beautiful face with puzzled eyes. "I said retreat immediately. Are you going to disobey me?" The queen's face was cold, without any fear, but full of determination. "But your majesty, I don't understand." Orin was the first to question. "We have worked so hard for so long. So many people have died, and it has cost so much. Isn't it for this battle? Why do we have to escape at this critical moment?" "Yes, your majesty. With the help of humans, we may not have no chance of winning. Maybe that human is really the savior, and there may be a miracle. Although the human's mental power is low, he can drive Hai after all. Hai is the exclusive weapon for hunting three-legged crows. Legend has it that there is a celestial being driving Hai alone, hunting thousands of three-legged crows." The other Sun Hunters were also puzzled at this moment. Like Orin, they did not immediately execute the queen's order. "You really don't understand." The queen shook her head slowly, her eyes swept across the Sun Hunters, and said sternly, "I ask you, how many three-legged crows do we have to kill to prevent our tribe from being destroyed? 1, 2, or 10, or hundreds?" Everyone was silent and speechless. They had never seriously thought about this question. Yes. How many three-legged crows should be hunted to stop the helium flash of the fiery sun star? They all had no answer. The three-legged crow is not a star beast, but a tribe. To save the fiery sun tribe, the entire tribe of three-legged crows must be destroyed. How easy is that? Hunting the three-legged crow is a lie to deceive humans. The sun whale is bait. The human named Xia Xingchen is also bait. He can drive Hai, and his strength is indeed strong, but he can't be the opponent of hundreds of three-legged crows. I'm using him to delay time. With his strength, he can delay for at least an hour. We take advantage of this hour while the three-legged crow's nest is empty, break in and destroy their eggs. Cut off their roots. This is the best solution to the crisis. The queen only then told her real plan. The queen revealed the plan in full, and everyone was shocked. At the same time, they had to admit that the queen's plan was perfect, but too insidious. "We are betraying humans. Humans came to help us sincerely, but we deceived, betrayed, and abandoned them. It is said that humans are insidious and cunning. Our behavior is much more excessive than humans." The Sun Hunters could not bear it, and they lowered their heads, worrying about Xia Xingchen's safety. "Humph, insidious and cunning. So what?" The queen snorted coldly. "Yes, I'm using humans. But this is for the entire Liang clan. For my race, I'm willing to do anything. What is this little thing? If it weren't for that human volunteering, and indeed showing strong strength, I originally planned to be a cannon fodder myself to attract the attention of the three-legged golden crow. Isn't that human a savior? Of course, a savior must do things that match his status. Don't worry, after he dies, I will build a statue for him, so that our Liang clan will worship him from generation to generation. Respect him as a god." The Sun Hunters were silent again. In the end, they all agreed with the queen's statement. For the Liang clan, for survival, like the queen, they are also willing to do anything. Even if this matter is despicable, insidious, and vicious to the extreme, they are willing. What's more, the queen led 700 warriors to break into the nest of the three-legged golden crow, trying to destroy the eggs of the three-legged golden crow. This trip is also full of dangers and extremely dangerous. The possibility of survival may not be higher than Xia Xingchen. Time is running out. We will set off immediately. The queen took out the scepter of the scorching sun, rotated the base, and took out a worn animal skin from it, which recorded the detailed location of the nest of the three-legged golden crow. The group retreated quietly. For the survival of the tribe, they betrayed Xia Xingchen. I was sold. Xia Xingchen faced hundreds of three-legged golden crows alone. After the divine sense probed, he did not find the figures of the queen and her group, and immediately realized the truth of the matter. Hateful. I wanted to help them so sincerely. They actually betrayed me and used me as bait. Xia Xingchen was furious, and his fists pounded on the chair angrily. However, Xia Xingchen had no time to be angry at this moment. After the queen withdrew her domain, the area near Hawaii's mecha immediately returned to a high temperature of 3000 degrees. Xia Xingchen's mental power level was raised to level 52. He consumed a lot of mental power and could temporarily resist the high temperature. However, the three-legged crows around him were staring at Hawaii's mecha. Oh no. It turns out that these beasts are not ignoring me. It's because of the domain that they don't want to come to a place where the temperature is too low. Now that the temperature has returned to normal, they will attack me immediately. Xia Xingchen's heart sank. Xia Xingchen was originally preparing to escape, but it was too late. The three-legged crow closest to Hawaii's mecha waved its wings and opened its mouth to spray out violent flames, covering the entire starry sky. The magma was like a tsunami, overwhelming the sky and attacking Hawaii's mecha. I can't escape. I can only fight. Xia Xingchen's face showed a touch of determination. He controlled the Hawaii mecha, took off the sun-shooting bow, pulled the bowstring, and a silver spiral arrow appeared on the bowstring, and the bow was like a full moon. Spiral sun-shooting arrow. Xia Xingchen shouted. A swelling silver light flew out, breaking through the raging sea of fire and accurately hitting the head of the three-legged golden crow. Kai. The head of the three-legged golden crow was pierced, and the energy core in the head was shattered. It let out a wail, and its whole body turned into red energy crystals. One shot. Or three-legged golden crow was shot dead instantly. Chapter 1187 Destroying the Nest. Xia Xingchen drove the Hawaii mecha, condensed his mental power into arrows, and shot an arrow from the sun-shooting bow, and a three-legged golden crow fell instantly. Such a powerful force even made Xia Xingchen himself a little dazed, and exclaimed, "So strong." Xia Xingchen was not surprised by his own strength. Instead, he was shocked by the overall performance of the Hawaii mecha. To be honest, after being able to drive the Hawaii mecha, Xia Xingchen made an evaluation of its performance, which should be between 2 and 3 times that of the Qinglang mecha. This value is of course terrifying. However, the Qinglang mecha has strong recovery ability, unlimited energy, can use thunder roar, and has jumps and underwater magnetic engines. These are all things that the Hawaii mecha cannot compare to. Simply put, the performance of the Hawaii mecha is strong, but apart from the solar furnace with almost unlimited energy, there is nothing eye-catching. However, Xia Xingchen only realized now that he was wrong. In actual combat, the Hawaii mecha is extremely powerful, far exceeding Xia Xingchen's expectations. We can win. Xia Xingchen's blood boiled, and Hawaii's mecha flashed in front of the corpse of the three-legged crow, waving his hand to collect the red energy crystals into the portable space. Now, the raw materials for making the Suzuki mecha are available. Xia Xingchen grinned, very happy. When the three-legged crows saw a companion being killed by the mecha in front of them, they all turned their heads, their eyes were fierce, and they exuded a monstrous hostility, staring at Xia Xingchen. Although the wisdom of the three-legged crow is not high, it is not stupid. They flew up together, turned into flames all over the sky, and pounced on the Hawaii mecha, completely covering it in a sea of fire. In the center of the sea of fire, the Hawaii mecha held the sun-shooting bow, standing alone, like a god. Come on. Fight. In the cockpit, Xia Xingchen's eyes burned with a monstrous fighting spirit, without the slightest fear, but pounced on it. Liang Star, deep in the photosphere. The queen led 700 sun hunters through a fiery passage, at the end of which was the nest of the three-legged crow. Hush, keep your voice down, don't make any noise. If you startle the three-legged crow, who can bear it? Arlin whispered the queen's instructions. Yes, we will be careful. The sun hunters all lowered their voices. When they saw the three-legged crow, they were so scared that they were paralyzed. They didn't have the courage to confront this nightmare legend that had accompanied their race for tens of millions of years. Even if they sneaked into the nest of the three-legged crow and destroyed the three-legged crow eggs that had not yet hatched, they were still terrified. Fortunately, the god of luck finally stood on the side of the Liang clan. All the three-legged crows were attracted outside by Xia Xingchen. There was not even an adult three-legged crow in the nest. There were only a few newly hatched three-legged crows that were killed directly by the queen and her men. The temperature inside the nest was about 6000 degrees, and boiling magma flowed on the ground. A dozen three-legged crow eggs were soaked in the magma, floating up and down, emitting golden light. The more powerful a creature is, the lower its fertility rate and the longer its growth period. The fertility rate of the three-legged crow is particularly low, and only one young three-legged crow is born every 100 years. Destroy this nest. The entire tribe of three-legged crows will be destroyed. The queen's eyes were full of brilliance. Three-legged crow, god of destruction. The nightmare that has entangled the Liang tribe for thousands of years will finally end in her hands. She, Queen Kilu, will become a great figure who will be remembered for generations, and even after thousands of years, her name will still be remembered by the Liang tribe. Destroy. Destroy the source of these sins immediately. We don't have much time. The queen shouted loudly. Yes, although that human is very strong, and has high mecha, he is facing the entire three-legged crow tribe after all. He should be dead now. Alas, but we built a statue for him. We will worship him for generations. The sun hunters whispered. They all thought Xia Xingchen was dead. Bang! The golden three-legged crow egg was fished out of the magma, thrown on the ground, and crushed with one foot. The eggshell broke, and golden blood flowed out of it, turning into a small piece of energy crystal. Even a powerful three-legged crow is very fragile in its infancy. Soon, the entire three-legged crow nest was cleared and all the eggs were killed. The sun hunters cheered enthusiastically. They did not expect that things would go so smoothly. Thanks to the wise leadership of Her Majesty the Queen. Long live Her Majesty the Queen. Someone flattered silently. The Queen was also very excited in the cheers and praises, and even felt a little tipsy. They were completely unaware that a disaster was quietly approaching. Spiral sun-shooting arrow. Hai's mecha pulled the sun-shooting bow again, and killed the three-legged crow with one arrow. Hey, the third one. Xia Xingchen grinned, drove the mecha to the energy crystal formed by the three-legged crow, and put the crystal in his pocket. To make the Suzuki mecha, according to the design, one three-legged crow's energy crystal is enough. The three-legged crow is huge, 100 meters long, and the energy crystals it turns into are more than enough to make a mecha of about 10 meters. However, the design also mentioned that the energy crystals of the three-legged crow are also divided into grades. If you want to make the most powerful Suzuki mecha, you need at least 10 three-legged crow's energy crystals to extract the highest grade raw materials for making mechas. This is the third one. Xia Xingchen's forehead was covered with sweat, and he gasped. He was very excited, but the battle became more and more difficult. Although Hai's mecha was powerful, it was also a mecha specially designed to hunt three-legged crows. However, it is too difficult to resist the attack of hundreds of three-legged crows and hunt 10 three-legged crows. The three-legged crows are a kind of life with wisdom. They know how to protect their companions, and how to attack together. The large amount of mental energy consumption made Xia Xingchen feel trapped in a quagmire. It seems that I can't hold on a bit. Xia Xingchen hunted 2 more three-legged crows, and he finally reached his limit. However, at this time, the three-legged crow's attack like a storm suddenly stopped. They all stopped attacking Xia Xingchen, turned their heads, and looked in the direction of the nest with anger in their eyes. They heard the cubs wailing. Although the eggs have not hatched yet, they have already established a connection with their spirits. The cubs were killed, and the three-legged crows immediately felt it. There was even an adult three-legged crow, with deep sadness in his eyes, and a red tear of fire flowed from its eyes. With a miserable and angry wail, the three-legged golden crows turned around, threw Xia Xingchen aside, and quickly flew back to their nest. Chapter 1188 The Abnormal Source of Faith. The three-legged crows suddenly screamed and flew away, and Xia Xingchen finally got a chance to catch his breath. What a close call. The three-legged crows are really terrifying. Even if I was driving the Hai mecha, I was almost no match for these beasts. I just don't know why they suddenly flew away. Xia Xingchen wiped the sweat from his forehead, still in fear. Omniscience domain, expand, explore. Xia Xingchen was curious, and expanded the power of the domain, to cover the last three-legged crow flying. Although the three-legged crows are terrifying, their wisdom is not high, and they are not much different from ordinary star beasts. Their minds are even more defenseless, and they are immediately invaded by Xia Xingchen's domain and explored clearly. In Xia Xingchen's mind, the scene of the queen leading the sun hunter warriors to kill and slaughter the three-legged crow cubs in the three-legged crow's nest emerged. I see. You use me as cannon fodder, sneak into the nest secretly, and kill the three-legged crows in one pot. What a good plan. Xia Xingchen's mouth showed a sneer. He was originally full of enthusiasm and wanted to help the Liang clan. However, he was despised, slandered, and even betrayed again and again. At this moment, Xia Xingchen's heart was already cold. The three-legged golden crows have telepathy and will return to their nests quickly. They will definitely block the queen and her group inside. At that time, it will definitely be a bloody massacre. Xia Xingchen looked at the boundless sea of fire in the distance, and the corners of his mouth raised. I have hunted 5 three-legged golden crows, which are enough to make the Suzuki mecha. The purpose of my coming to Liang Star has now been completed. As for the life and death of the Liang clan, you are the first, so you can't blame me for the 15th. Xia Xingchen's character is not a saint. Xia Xingchen can't do such a thing as repaying kindness with evil. His character is to repay kindness with kindness, and repay evil with evil. From the moment the queen betrayed Xia Xingchen, he completely gave up the false name of the savior. Even if the Liang clan is really destroyed, it has nothing to do with him anymore. Besides, I have already held off the three-legged crows for such a long time. My mental power has been consumed too much, and I'm powerless to fight anymore. I have nothing to do with you, the Fiery Sun clan. Xia Xingchen had already made up his mind and was ready to return to the Holy Mountain spaceship immediately. If the queen could lead the sun hunters back to the Holy Mountain spaceship safely, then Xia Xingchen would leave with them and never have any contact with them again. Of course, the greater possibility is that the queen will never come back. At that time, Xia Xingchen would fly away from the Fiery Sun Star by himself in the Holy Mountain spaceship. Okay, let's do it. Xia Xingchen drove the Hawaii mecha at full speed and flew towards the direction of the Holy Mountain spaceship. Xia Xingchen's mind suddenly shook, and he heard a huge voice coming from the depths of the star. Someone is calling me? Psychic power. 1000-mile voice transmission? Xia Xingchen couldn't help but stop the mecha and looked around. He clearly heard someone calling his name just now. The voice was deep and vast, as if it came from a very far place, and it seemed to explode directly beside the ear. Is it an illusion? Xia Xingchen shook his head. With his current mental power level, unless it was a psychic at the level of a divine messenger who performed an illusion, it would be impossible for him to have auditory and visual hallucinations. This situation meant that Xia Xingchen's control over his brain had reached an extremely high level. Strange. Xia Xingchen even temporarily turned off the solar furnace of Hawaii's mecha to reduce the noise, stopped in place and listened attentively, trying to find the source of the sound. However, there was no sound around, except the sound of the raging solar storm. Forget it. Xia Xingchen felt strange in his heart, but now the situation was urgent, and it was not the time to be suspicious. He restarted the engine, and prepared to leave this strange place. Xia Xingchen. At this moment, this strange and grand call exploded in Xia Xingchen's heart again. Just hearing this voice made Xia Xingchen feel faintly unable to breathe. This time, Xia Xingchen heard it clearly. It was an extremely powerful and vast will calling him. This was an extremely powerful will. Stronger than the sun whale, the three-legged golden crow, and even the sun Kunpeng. Xia Xingchen felt like a little bug that lived and died in the morning. Facing the great sun, the first thought that came to his mind was to escape. Faced with a force far stronger than oneself, life will instinctively avoid danger. Escape is the best choice. Whoosh! A ray of light flew out of Xia Xingchen's mind, and it turned out to be a crystal pyramid, the source of faith. Xia Xingchen was stunned. The crystal pyramid that had accompanied him for a long time actually flew out of his mind for the first time, flew in the direction of the vast voice, and disappeared in midair in a flash. Although Xia Xingchen wanted to escape, the source of faith was very interested in that powerful will, and even left the host's body and flew away directly. Crystal pyramid. The Manchu people who created Carlos called it the source of faith. In fact, even the Manchu people didn't know what the source of faith was. They only knew that the source of faith was a way of evolution, which could allow the entire race to be promoted and evolve into the key of heaven. As for the origin and purpose of the source of faith, After a long period of research, the Mank people still haven't figured it out. It was this mysterious crystal pyramid that changed Xia Xingchen's life. It made him go from a lowly miner on a rural planet to where he is today and become the pride of mankind. Countless geniuses of the same generation pale in comparison to Xia Xingchen. However, this crystal pyramid actually left Xia Xingchen's mind at this moment and flew away alone. Xia Xingchen was anxious. Without thinking too much, Xia Xingchen immediately controlled the mecha, moving at full speed and chasing after the crystal pyramid. Xia Xingchen's spiritual connection with the crystal pyramid was not completely disconnected, and there was still a weak connection. He could feel the location of the crystal pyramid, which was moving rapidly towards the interior of the star. Find it back. Must find it back. Xia Xingchen's face was pale, and there was only this one thought left in his mind. Even if there was a mountain of swords and a sea of fire ahead, he must find the crystal pyramid back. The mecha passed through a flame tunnel, and the temperature in front was getting higher and higher, and it was getting brighter and brighter. It was a boiling magma ocean. Gap! The shrill cry filled the eardrums. Nearly 100 three-legged crows were flying above the magma sea, surrounding the group and attacking them crazily. The group was the Queen and the Sun Hunters. The Queen held the golden scepter and cast a domain, covering the surrounding area of 1,000 meters, desperately resisting the attack of the three-legged crows. Chapter 1189. The vermilion bird appears, and the world is destroyed. The Queen and the 700 Sun Hunters were definitely not weak. At least they couldn't be weaker than Xia Xingchen when added together. However, they destroyed the nest of the three-legged golden crow, which made these adult three-legged golden crows completely crazy, with bloodshot eyes, and they attacked frantically without thinking about the consequences. The rock armor on the Sun Hunters was hit by the huge fireball spewed out by the three-legged golden crow, and it broke apart. They fell from the sky one after another, fell into the magma sea, and burned to ashes. The attack of the Sun Hunters was far inferior to the sun shooting bow of Haiyi's mecha. Various rock weapons attacked the three-legged golden crow, causing scars. However, with a howl from the three-legged golden crow, its body turned into a golden light, and the surrounding light was condensed. In a blink of an eye, it recovered as before, and the scars on its body disappeared. This is a terrifying thing about energy creatures like the three-legged golden crow. They are almost immortal. As long as the energy core in the head is not damaged, no matter how serious the injury is, they will immediately absorb the vast energy on the fiery sun star and recover to a state without injury. The three-legged golden crow is also called the phoenix in the legends of many races. The Sun Hunters did not have Xia Xingchen's omniscience, so it was impossible for them to accurately find the location of the energy core in the fierce battle. Therefore, they were slaughtered one-sidedly by the crazy three-legged golden crow, and more than half of them fell in a blink of an eye. Protect the Queen. We must protect the Queen, even if we risk our lives. The three-legged golden crow is crazy. We can't hold on. The remaining 300 Sun Hunters were also injured, and their rock armor was damaged, and they didn't even have time to recondense. They all gathered around the Queen, surrounded her in the center, and used their bodies to guard the Queen. The Queen's face turned pale, and she poured all her mental power into the golden scepter to maintain the existence of the domain as much as possible. Seeing her warriors fall one by one, the Queen was anxious, but there was nothing she could do. She could only quietly close her eyes, and couldn't bear to watch anymore. The battle was extremely tragic. Blood and flames flew everywhere, and corpses fell into the magma one after another, and the heat hit their faces. The three-legged golden crow continued to gather its body in the air, with dazzling golden light, slaughtering wantonly. The crystal pyramid, emitting a faint white light, quietly flew through the middle of this sure field. Its speed was so fast that no one even noticed it. They just felt a white light passing by, and it disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! Haiyi's mecha followed closely behind, and Xia Xingchen chased the pyramid, and came to the top of the lava sea. Seeing the killing field in front of him, he was slightly startled and frowned. Xia Xingchen didn't want to have anything to do with the Liang tribe anymore. However, the crystal pyramid flew in this direction. I don't know if it was a coincidence or intentional. Humph, this is the result of your betrayal of me. Xia Xingchen was angry and snorted coldly. He was not going to help the besieged Liang people, but was going to continue chasing the crystal pyramid. It's the human Xia Xingchen. He was besieged by hundreds of three-legged crows for so long, but he didn't die. I didn't see it wrong. His strength is far stronger than we imagined. He is worthy of being the one in the prophecy. Is he coming to find us? That's right. He must be here to save us. However, when the Liang people saw Xia Xingchen suddenly appear in the Mecha, a ray of hope appeared in their already desperate eyes. They didn't know that Xia Xingchen had to go deep into the dangerous area in order to catch up with the crystal pyramid. What's more, they didn't know that in Xia Xingchen's heart, they were already worthless and treacherous. It was not worth his life to rescue them. Savior. We abandoned him and betrayed him. But he didn't hold a grudge and came to save us again and again. Savior. He must be the savior. We keep saying that humans are mean and unscrupulous. But we are the most mean race. The Sun Hunters were all in tears at this moment. They were moved by Xia Xingchen's great personality. If they were not fighting, they would have knelt down on the spot and worshipped him. Xia Xingchen, I betrayed you so much. You actually held a grudge and came to such a dangerous place to save us. The queen couldn't believe it at this moment. Her beautiful eyes were full of shock. In addition to shock, there was also respect. It was not the kind of hypocritical respect on the Holy Mountain spaceship, but the real respect from the bottom of her heart. On the Holy Mountain spaceship, the queen only recognized Xia Xingchen's strength. However, any respect brought by force is not long-lasting. In the face of interests, this respect will vanish at any time. But at this moment, the respect of the Liang people for Xia Xingchen is real. All races have a heart of gratitude. Even the most evil race in the universe knows how to repay kindness. Moreover, among the thousands of races in the universe, the Liang clan can be called simple and kind. It's just that when faced with the crisis of genocide, they have to do despicable things. Faced with the sudden change in the attitude of the Liang clan, Xia Xingchen's face remained calm and unmoved. In countless battles, Xia Xingchen has honed a heart of stone, and will not change his decision, because of a change in the attitude of others. Xia Xingchen didn't even look at the besieged Liang clan, chasing the flight trajectory of the crystal pyramid, preparing to pass through the encirclement of the three-legged golden crow. The savior didn't say a word, and fought these terrible gods of destruction alone. In front of the courage of the savior, we are really ashamed. Some Liang warriors beat their feet and stamped their chests, crying loudly. They felt resentful for betraying Xia Xingchen. Faced with the misunderstanding of the Liang clan, Xia Xingchen was speechless. However, Xia Xingchen did not have time to explain. He drove the Mecha, pulled the sun-shooting bow, shot and killed a three-legged crow on the outermost edge, tore a hole in the encirclement, and went in. What courage! What strength! There are so many of us, fighting together for so long, but we didn't kill a single three-legged crow. As soon as the savior arrived, he killed a god of destruction with ease. It's so powerful. Alas. Compared with humans, our Liang tribe is too weak. The Sun Hunters saw Xia Xingchen's heroic figure shooting the three-legged crow with their own eyes, and they were all filled with emotion, with admiration in their eyes. The three-legged crows were also panicked when they saw the Mecha indiscriminately killing them. They had just seen Xia Xingchen's strength, which was much stronger than those alien races that attacked their nests. A strong mental wave spread. Three-legged crows with a length of 100 meters flapped their wings and flew high, their fire feathers scattered. Hundreds of three-legged crows gathered together and turned into a huge fireball with a diameter of 1 kilometer. The fireball was burning with boundless flames and covered with strange energy symbols. Hundreds of energies collided with each other, producing countless energy vortices, and countless red mushroom clouds kept appearing around them. Crack. A huge figure with a length of 1 kilometer broke out of the fireball, raging fiercely, and a scorching breath swept through the space, wanting to burn everything in the world. The vermilion bird appears. The world is destroyed. The queen's voice trembled, and she recited a piece of advice that had been circulated in the Liang clan for tens of thousands of years. Chapter 1190. The Treasure of the Fiery Sun Clan. Xia Xingchen's heart trembled, and he looked up at the huge bird that was 1,000 meters long, and he was in a daze. Is this evolution? Xia Xingchen's omniscience domain unfolded, and he keenly sensed that the huge bird in front of him was not the original three-legged golden crow, but a more powerful new life. This creature is undoubtedly also an energy creature, but its wisdom is higher than that of the three-legged golden crow, and it has a huge consciousness. Hundreds of three-legged golden crows have condensed into a more powerful life form, which is beyond Xia Xingchen's expectations. Xia Xingchen has very little information about energy creatures. Perhaps, the tribe of three-legged golden crows was originally one or several huge energy creatures, similar to the Sun Kunpeng. However, in order to hunt more efficiently, they choose to divide the energy of their bodies and form small independent individuals. When encountering a crisis, the three-legged golden crows reunite and restore their original appearance. Suzaku, one of the legendary beasts, representing auspiciousness and fortune. However, the huge bird in front of him did not have any auspicious meaning. It was covered with black flames and full of the terrifying breath of destruction. At this moment, Xia Xingchen understood why his Suzuki mecha actually needed the three-legged crow as material. The three-legged crow is actually a form of the Suzaku. Above the boundless sea of magma and fire, the mythical beast Suzaku flew in the air, and a pair of huge eyes like stars filled with flames slowly opened, looking down at Xia Xingchen, who was like an ant. Facing the three-legged crow, the Liang tribe was helpless. Facing the more powerful Suzaku, even the queen of the Liang tribe could only tremble all over at this moment, and did not even have the courage to fight. Human. I once fought with your ancestors. You are indeed a powerful race. However, I advise you to get out of the way. You are still too small. I can burn you to ashes with a breath. Get out of the way. Let me kill the villain who destroyed the hope of my tribe. As powerful as Suzaku, he communicated with Xia Xingchen through mental fluctuations at this moment, hoping to avoid conflict between the two. Suzaku was afraid. It was not afraid of Xia Xingchen's strength. Xia Xingchen was less worthy of mention than a grain of sand in front of Suzaku. What Suzaku feared was his mecha, the bloodline of ancient humans, and the heritage of ancient humans. However, the people of the Liang tribe felt the spiritual fluctuations of Suzaku, and they all gasped, with ecstasy on their faces, and everyone was shocked. The Suzaku beast is actually negotiating with the savior. Oh my god. Even Suzaku is afraid of the savior's strength? Powerful. It's really too powerful. The people of the Liang tribe shouted excitedly, cheering for Xia Xingchen. Suzaku did not attack immediately, and waited patiently for Xia Xingchen's answer. Evildoers? Are you talking about these treacherous people of the Liang tribe? Their life and death have nothing to do with me. Xia Xingchen raised the corner of his mouth and smiled slightly. Oh. So you won't take action? A hint of joy appeared in Suzaku's eyes. In an instant, all the people of the Liang tribe stiffened and looked dazed. What does it have to do with me? Savior, are you going to abandon us? No. Although we were wrong first, you are a great person, and will not take it to heart. Savior, please, don't abandon us. The people of the Liang tribe cried out. They were not afraid of death, but the faith they had just established suddenly collapsed. They could not bear this huge mental shock. Stop making so much noise. You are useless. Get out of here. Xia Xingchen was annoyed by the noise, and turned around to roar. These people of the Liang tribe had no fighting power at all. They were making noise, crying and laughing, which made Xia Xingchen really annoyed. In his spiritual consciousness, the crystal pyramid flew farther and farther, and had passed through the photosphere layer, and entered the depths of Liang star. It was about to be out of reach, which made Xia Xingchen even more impatient. Even if you want to die, get out of here quickly, and die farther away. Xia Xingchen continued to roar. The people of the Liang tribe were silent. Everyone covered their mouths, and couldn't stop crying. The savior wants us to flee. He wants to face the sacred beast Suzaku alone. What is greatness? This is greatness. We are too disappointing and weak. Run. Let's run far away so as not to drag down the savior. He is too powerful, and is afraid that he will accidentally hurt us in the fight with Suzaku. Xia Xingchen's words were once again overinterpreted by the Liang people. They were moved, and thought that Xia Xingchen was going to fight Suzaku for them. Faced with such a misunderstanding, Xia Xingchen was too lazy to explain. He looked up at Suzaku and said angrily, "Get out. No matter who you are, get out of here immediately." The whole place was silent again, leaving only the sound of burning flames and boiling magma. The opponent is the sacred beast Suzaku. The sacred beast Suzaku, with its wings flapping, a planet will be burned and destroyed. The savior actually yelled at it like this, asking it to get out. Domineering. It's really domineering. The Liang people praised again. Such courage. Such spirit. Is there anyone else in the whole starry sky who can match him? The queen was also deeply impressed by Xia Xingchen's dominance at this moment. Her beautiful eyes were shining brightly as she stared at the cockpit of Hao Yi's mecha. Originally, the queen thought that humans were cowardly races because they drove mechas and protected their bodies. At this moment, the queen felt that Xia Xingchen's figure was extremely majestic. Even the huge body of the mythical beast Suzaku, which emitted dazzling golden light like a star, could not hide Xia Xingchen's figure. Savior. The queen suddenly flew out from under the guard of the crowd, half knelt in front of Xia Xingchen, presented the golden scepter with both hands, and said respectfully, "This scepter is a treasure of our Liang clan, and it has the powerful power of amplifying the field. I give this treasure to you, and I hope that you can have a long-lasting martial arts fortune and be invincible." Swish. The golden scepter left the queen's hand, and flew into the hand of Hao Yi's mecha. Without the domain amplification of the golden scepter, the surrounding temperature rose suddenly. The queen turned around decisively, and led the sun hunters to fly away from the sea of fire, through the flame tunnel, and flew towards the holy mountain spaceship. It turns out that this golden scepter can amplify the domain, not the condensation and solidification of the domain as I imagined. Xia Xingchen showed a touch of joy on his face, but amplifying the domain is more powerful than solidification. Amplifying the domain greatly improves the strength of those who can expand the domain. Solidifying the domain can enhance the strength of those without a domain. Facing a powerful creature like Suzaku, the queen's move is like a timely help to Xia Xingchen. Even the treasure of the Liang clan was given to me. It seems that she really recognizes me. Xia Xingchen felt relieved. Although it was a little late and encountered some setbacks, he was able to finally gain the respect of the alien race, and his previous efforts were not in vain. Chapter 1191 Carrying a stone to ask for punishment. Holding the golden scepter, Xia Xingchen felt that his omniscience domain had surged again, covering a space of tens of thousands of meters. Not only the range, but also the perception became more acute. Vision, hearing, touch are no longer limited to the five senses. Even the flow of energy is within Xia Xingchen's perception. If the omniscience domain is improved again, then the fluctuations of time and space will not escape Xia Xingchen's omniscience domain. Powerful. It is worthy of being the treasure of the Liang clan. Using this golden scepter, I can even fight against a legendary mecha master. It's a pity I'm not facing a mecha master, but a powerful mythical beast Suzaku. Xia Xingchen admired it, and a bitter smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The mythical beast Suzaku is an energy creature with advanced wisdom and an extremely long lifespan. Such a mythical beast, even a galaxy fleet, may not be its opponent. Xia Xingchen wants to compete with the mythical beast Suzaku? Difficult. It's really too difficult. When Suzaku saw Xia Xingchen blocking her way, the queen led the remaining troops to evacuate. A gloomy and cold look appeared in her eyes, and her mental fluctuations were transmitted. Human, you are too arrogant. Do you think that you can stop me with the Mihai mecha? Xia Xingchen raised his head and said lightly, I didn't want to stop you. I just want you to get out of here. Looking for death. Suzaku screamed, and his huge body pounced on Xia Xingchen. Boom. Xia Xingchen drove the Hawaii mecha without retreating a single step, and fought directly. His purpose was very clear, not to kill this terrifying energy creature. He just wanted to break through this area and catch up with the crystal pyramid that had already fled far away. The queen led the remaining 300 sun hunters and fled to the holy mountain spaceship. Without the golden scepter, the queen's domain power was only 30%, and she could not continue to lower the temperature. Along the way, more than a dozen sun hunters could not withstand the high temperature and fell behind, and could no longer return to Wanshi Star, and were buried on Liang Star. Back on the holy mountain spaceship, the temperature dropped sharply, and everyone felt alive, and breathed a sigh of relief. Everyone was excited to have survived the catastrophe. Although they encountered an extremely dangerous situation, the battle plan was still very successful. The descendants of the three-legged golden crow were slaughtered. Wan Shi Star was saved, and the Liang clan was saved. However, there was no smile on the queen's face. She had a vague feeling that a disaster was about to happen, but she couldn't figure out what went wrong. Your Majesty, there is a high energy reaction from the bottom of the photosphere. Orin had been staring at the instrument panel of the spaceship to ensure that the Holy Mountain spaceship could take off at any time and fly away from the dangerous place of Liang Star. High energy reaction? What's going on? The queen was startled and quickly stood up and walked to the instrument. I don't know the details, but it is likely to be an extremely fierce solar storm. The entire solar black area will be swallowed by this storm. We must leave within an hour. Orin replied. Could it be the solar storm raised by Suzaku? The queen's heart sank, and she walked to the porthole, looking at the direction where Xia Xingchen and Suzaku were fighting, and prayed silently in her heart. Time passed by minute, and the queen still stood at the bow of the Holy Mountain spaceship. Orin and the guards were extremely anxious, constantly walking back and forth, looking down at the time. Your Majesty, the solar storm has already arrived. We can't wait any longer. Otherwise, everyone will be in danger. Orin bravely stepped forward to remind the spaceship that it was almost time for departure. Wait. I believe that the savior will definitely return victorious. The queen's face was calm, and she said in a deep voice, wait until the last minute, the last second. But, Orin still wanted to persuade. There is no but. I have abandoned him and betrayed him once. I can't betray him a second time. He is the greatest and noblest human being I have ever seen. Don't forget that our lives were exchanged for him. The queen's face suddenly sank. Yes, your majesty. Seeing that the queen had made up her mind, Orin had no choice but to say nothing more, and immediately conveyed the queen's meaning to everyone on the Holy Mountain spaceship, telling them to wait patiently. What Orin did not expect was that the vast majority of the Sun Hunters agreed with the queen's approach. Some even said that they would wait, even if the Holy Mountain spaceship was swallowed by the solar storm. They were willing to live and die with the savior. Xia Xingchen's personality charm deeply impressed every member of the Liang tribe. However, the solar storm came madly, and the entire spaceship was shrouded in high temperature and energy turbulence, but there was still no news from Xia Xingchen. The queen's heart finally sank to the bottom of the abyss. As a last resort, the queen finally ordered a jump and left Liang Star before the Holy Mountain spaceship was completely destroyed by the solar storm. Jumping from the interior of a star to the outside is more difficult than jumping into the interior of a star. The energy vortex and radiation turbulence in the star will seriously interfere with the instruments and equipment. However, the queen was lucky. Although the Holy Mountain spaceship was already in tatters, it jumped smoothly to the space outside Liang Star. The Holy Mountain spaceship did not return immediately, but waited in the space for a week. Every day, the queen stood in front of the window, like a clay sculpture, staring at Liang Star infatuatedly, hoping for a miracle. Unfortunately, after a long wait, the miracle did not happen. The queen gave up completely, and was sure that Xia Xingchen was dead. Such a terrifying solar storm, even energy creatures like the sun whale may not be able to withstand it. What about Xia Xingchen's fragile human body? In fact, the moment the Holy Mountain spacecraft jumped out of the photosphere, Xia Xingchen's fate was determined. It is impossible to pass through the chromosphere and corona with terrifying temperatures with only a Hawaii mecha. The queen sighed for a long time, and crystal tears appeared in her eyes. 3 days later, the star domain arc docked on the periphery of Liang Star suddenly received a signal. The queen of the Liang tribe and 30 members of the Council of Elders, representing the highest power organization of the Liang tribe, asked to see Princess Qinjana. Qinjana already had a bad premonition in her heart, and agreed to the queen's request. Hundreds of meteorite spaceships flew to the vicinity of the star domain arc. The queen boarded the star domain arc with the elders in white robes. Qinjana personally led people to receive this group of alien guests. Your Highness, please forgive me. The queen stepped forward and knelt beside Qinjana. She lifted her clothes and found a hot stone slab on her back, which burned the skin on her back red. Her forehead was covered with beads of sweat. The other elders of the Liang tribe also stepped forward and knelt down, carrying red hot stone slabs on their backs. Humans have the saying of carrying a stick to apologize for their crimes, and the Liang tribe also has the saying of carrying a stone to apologize for their crimes, which are both ways to apologize and show sincerity. The queen led all the elders to carry stones to apologize for their crimes and ask for the forgiveness of the Star Princess. Chapter 1192 Bad News. Your Majesty, what are you doing? Xingchen was stunned and hurriedly stepped forward to help the kneeling queen up. The queen was about 3 meters tall, like a giant in front of Xingchen, and whispered, "Princess Crossing, I was blind and caused the Marquis to die on Liang Star. This is my responsibility. I'm willing to suffer." What? Xingchen died on Liang Star? Xingchen felt dizzy and her eyes went black. She was a smart girl. When the queen of the Liang tribe led people to plead guilty, she had already guessed that Xia Xingchen might have encountered something. However, Xingchen still had a fluke in her heart. But when the queen told the bad news in person, this fluke was also broken. Your Majesty, are you telling the truth? Xingchen. Xingchen held back her tears and tried to calm herself down. Although I don't want this to be true. But, the queen sighed and said sadly, the responsibility for this is all on me. It is reasonable for your highness to be furious. I just hope that you can come to me. My people are all unaware and innocent. I'm willing to bear all your anger. When the queen said this, she was already prepared to bear all the consequences. Xia Xingchen's identity is not trivial. He is the fiancé of the imperial princess Xingchen. Although Wanshixing is remote, the queen has also asked someone to investigate Xia Xingchen's identity and knows what he has done. Although Xia Xingchen is an S-level wanted criminal of the empire and a fugitive pointed at by everyone in the Galactic Empire. However, the huge Galactic Empire has no way to deal with Xia Xingchen, not to mention that he is also the disciple of the star pirate King Roger. What's more, the huge starfield arc in front of them, which is 10,000 meters long, has a powerful combat power that the Liang clan cannot contend with. The reason why the queen came to plead guilty in person. On the one hand, the fire cannot be covered by paper, and Xingchen will sooner or later find out that Xia Xingchen is in trouble. It would be better for her to make it clear as soon as possible. On the other hand, the queen put the entire Liang tribe first and did not want the entire Liang tribe to be affected because of her own fault. In short, the queen's attitude was very sincere and she sincerely hoped to make some compensation so that Xingchen could feel better. She and Xingchen were both women. Although they were of different races, they shared the same feelings. No, I don't believe it. Xingchen shook her head decisively. I don't believe that Xingchen is dead. We don't believe it either. Behind Xingchen, the Blood Demon Group, the Khan family craftsmen, and the interstellar pirates of the Bloody Mary pirates all shook their heads together. In their hearts, Xia Xingchen was not only the leader, but also the captain, the friend, the lover, and the synonym of miracle. They all believed that as long as Xia Xingchen was there, miracles would happen one after another. This was a consensus, and it could even be said to be a belief. What's there to not believe in? Could it be that I would lie to you? The queen was also stunned. She had never seen such a firm belief from a human being. Your Majesty, you get up first. Xingchen stepped forward again, personally helped the queen up, invited her to the conference room, and found a big chair for her to sit down. Your Majesty, you said Xingchen was dead. Have you seen his body? Xingchen asked. No. The queen shook her head. I didn't see the body of the Marquis. At that time, a strong storm broke out on the Liang Star, and I tried my best to delay the takeoff time. But, I really didn't wait for the Marquis. If it was later, all of us would be swept into the storm and buried on the star. Xingchen is trapped on the star. Xingchen exclaimed. Not trapped. The queen didn't know how to explain it in words. He was on the Liang Star, fighting with the mythical beast Suzaku to save us. We don't know the result of the battle. But, it is estimated that it is more likely to be fatal. Even if he can win by chance, there is no way to leave the Liang Star. After so long, there is still no news about him. He must be dead. Xia, can the observation device on the Ark capture the scene on the star? Xingchen turned to ask Xia. The old robot Xia, with a crackling blue static electricity flashing across the circuit on its chin, replied, "Observing stars is not difficult for the star domain arc. However, stars are too big, and it takes too much time to observe them all. It would be best if we have accurate coordinates." Xingchen looked at the Queen. "Your Majesty, can you provide the coordinates? The specific coordinates of the battle between Xingchen and Zhuge?" The Queen was silent for a moment. Of course she knew the coordinates. The place where Xia Xingchen and Zhuge fought was near the nest of the three-legged golden crow. However, the location of the nest of the three-legged golden crow is a top secret location that must not be disclosed to the Liang clan. Even though she is the queen of the Liang clan, if she leaks the coordinates of the nest, she will be carrying a great risk. If she is not careful, she may be regarded as a sinner of the Liang clan. Being regarded as a sinner, so what? Xia Xingchen has paid too much for our clan. Should I hide even such a small thing? The Queen did not think for too long, and under Xingchen's eager eyes, she said the coordinates. "Xia, observe the space near the coordinates immediately. Don't miss any clues." Xingchen was delighted and ordered immediately. There are many ways to observe stars. Generally, there are two ways. One is to launch a detector and the other is to observe directly with a telescope. The material of the detector can only be observed at a distance because it cannot withstand the high temperature of the star. This is why stars have always been a blind spot for human observation. No scientist knows the true situation inside the star and can only predict and infer the general situation. The technology of the star arc is much higher than that of humans, and the ship-borne telescope can directly observe the stars. However, this observation method is also subject to great limitations. First, it is easily affected by storms and other stellar activities. Second, accurate coordinates must be obtained before observation can be made. Because the Queen provided the coordinates, Liang star temporarily calmed down after the last violent solar storm. The observation process went smoothly, and the screen immediately showed the picture near the coordinates. A sea of fire, dazzling light everywhere, so bright that people can't open their eyes. This is the inside of the star. It feels like a very boring place. Li Huamui blinked and whispered, "The temperature is 3000 degrees. Lord Marquis, you can actually fight the enemy in such a place. It's really, I have to admire you." Tai Zion was secretly amazed. What does 3000 degrees mean? Steel will melt into iron liquid, and the human body will be burned to ashes. Zioka, can you help analyze the picture? Xingchen knew Zioka's identity, and begged in a low voice. "Look." Black Cat Zioka snuggled in Xingchen's arms and nodded obediently. Due to Zioka's intervention, the originally fiery red picture was quickly analyzed. In the depths of the sea of fire, it found an extremely inconspicuous pixel point. After zooming in, it was found that it was the wreckage of something. The fiery sun scepter. "It's the fiery sun scepter of my clan." The Queen squinted her eyes and looked for a long time, and suddenly covered her mouth and screamed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1193 Message from the Stars. That's right, it's the treasure of my clan, the scepter of the fiery sun. I'll lend it to the Marquis. I didn't expect that the scepter would be broken and become like this. The Queen was shocked. After confirming again and again that the golden fragment floating in the sea of fire was a part of the scepter of the fiery sun, she was stunned. The material of the scepter of the fiery sun can withstand the high temperature on the fiery sun star, so it remained. Even the scepter of the fiery sun was broken, which shows how terrifying the battle between Xia Xingchen and Suzaku was. "No way." Xingchen muttered in a low voice, with a flash of disbelief in her eyes. Although Xingchen trusted Xia Xingchen 100%. However, all the evidence now pointed to Xia Xingchen's death. This made Xingchen couldn't help but worry. "Xingchen, please don't get into trouble." Xingchen put her hands together in front of her chest and prayed silently in her heart. Meow. Zioka suddenly called out, and it found a larger piece of debris. This piece of remains is much larger, with a diameter of 1 meter, and it is completely black. It is obviously not the scepter of the sun. It is a fragment of mecha. Kang Xiu looked at it for a while with special glasses and made a firm judgment. It doesn't seem to be the boss's Kinglang mecha. Kang Xiu said again, with curiosity in his eyes, I don't know what material it is, but it can withstand temperatures of more than 3000 degrees. Hearing Kang Xiu say that this is not Xia Xingchen's Kinglang mecha, everyone just breathed a sigh of relief. But the queen whispered, it is indeed not a Kinglang mecha, but how is mecha? It is also a sacred object passed down by my clan. I have given it to the Marquis. He was driving this mecha to fight Suzaku. What did you say? Is it Xingchen's mecha? If the mecha is broken like this, then it must be his. Oh my god, why is this happening? Everyone was amazed at once, and a sad atmosphere enveloped the entire spaceship. It is well known that the human body is very fragile. It is all thanks to the mecha that we can adapt to various cruel cosmic environments and fight. Stars are one of the most harsh places in the universe. The photosphere is as high as 3000 degrees, and even the star domain arc cannot reach it. Only the special structure of Hai's mecha, which embodies the wisdom and technology of ancient humans, can protect the human body and resist this terrifying high temperature. However, Hai's mecha has also been broken. Without the protection of the mecha, Xia Xingchen's fate can be imagined. Although no one is willing to admit it, Xia Xingchen's death is already an established fact. Even Xioka silently calculated Xia Xingchen's chance of survival, which is less than 0.001%. In the star domain arc, there was complete silence. Everyone was in an extremely sad mood. Xingchen is dead. Even Qinjana, who is as strong as she is crying and almost fainting. Everyone in the blood demon group is stunned at this moment. Xia Xingchen saved them from the sea of suffering and let them re-establish their goals in life. Once Xia Xingchen died, they fell into confusion again and lost their direction in life. The queen and a group of elders of the Liang tribe remained silent and dared not breathe. After confirming the news of Xia Xingchen's death, humans might turn their grief into anger and vent their anger on them. However, there was no way. No matter how terrible the anger of humans was, they could only bear it. Damn it. Li Huamui was the first to lose control. She was very beautiful, but after all, she was a space pirate and had a hot temper. She immediately took out a laser gun and pointed it at the queen, with tears in her eyes. Xia Xingchen's accident is all caused by you aliens. None of you can leave today. Tixan couldn't help it any longer. Seeing his big sister was angry, he immediately led people to drive Mechas and surrounded the Liang people to prevent them from escaping. When they saw the situation was not good, the members of the blood demon group stood still. In fact, they also wanted to be as unscrupulous as Li Huamui and other space pirates and avenge Xia Xingchen. But they were soldiers, and even at this time, they had to obey discipline. While Li Huamui and Tixan were doing all this, Qinjana was crying bitterly. Her heart was broken, and her mind was filled with past memories of Xia Xingchen. She had no time to care about anything else. The robot Xia suddenly looked up and looked in the direction of Liang Star. Inside Liang Star, someone was sending him a signal through the space-time beacon. Xia confirmed again and again that someone was indeed contacting him and immediately transferred the contact signal to the big screen of the star domain arc. Finally got in touch. This solar storm is really terrible. It can actually interfere with the signal of the space-time beacon. Fortunately, it finally calmed down. Xia Xingchen's voice came out. Xingchen. Xingchen. Qinjana suddenly looked up, and there was no picture on the screen. It was pitch black, and only intermittent voices came. There was no doubt that it was Xia Xingchen's voice. Jaina, I made you worry. Xia Xingchen's voice became gentle. Yes, it's you. Xingchen, I knew you were fine. You bad guy, you made me cry for you. Qinjana wiped the tears from her face with both hands and burst into laughter. My lord Marquis. Boss. Master. Sure enough, it's fine. It seems that our worries are unnecessary. When the others heard Xia Xingchen's voice and knew that he was safe and sound, they all laughed heartily. How is it possible? How is it possible? Even the mecha is broken, how can he still be alive? The queen was shocked, and her eyes were full of surprise. Whose voice? It seems to be Your Majesty. Xia Xingchen heard it immediately. He was a little surprised why the queen of the Liang clan appeared on the star domain arc. "My lord Marquis, it's me." The queen was very excited. "Your majesty, you all evacuated Liang star safely. You are lucky. This way, I'm relieved," Xia Xingchen said with a smile. "Xingchen, where are you? Are you okay?" Kinjana asked hurriedly. "I'm still on Liang star. Safety. There is no problem for the time being. However, my current state is a little delicate. It will take me some time to go back. You don't have to worry about me," Xia Xingchen said. "I'm glad you're okay." Kinjana was finally relieved. Chichichi. A burst of noise came over, and the signal transmission was interrupted. Kinjana asked Jia to try to reconnect, but failed. A new solar storm set off on Liang star, seriously interfering with the signal transmission. However, since everyone knew that Xia Xingchen was safe and sound, they were relieved. At the same time, everyone present had a huge doubt in their hearts. Xia Xingchen's mecha was destroyed. How did he survive on the star? What is the situation of the delicate he mentioned? Chapter 1194 Star Will. Stars are hot and huge, and are forbidden areas for life. The fiery sun star is dark red, and violent solar storms are raging wildly on the planet. Even the energy creatures on the stars can only lie dormant temporarily in the face of this terrifying energy catastrophe. In the flare, the huge and unmatched sun-shining Kunpeng is flapping its wings desperately. One after another, energy vortexes are pouring out from under its wings, rushing around, full of destructive power. It spews golden flames from its mouth, emitting high temperatures that burn everything, and is fighting another black shadow. Sunshining Kunpeng is an extremely terrifying star beast. It is said that a star can only accommodate one sunshining Kunpeng. Its wings are spread out, with a length of millions of kilometers. Gently flapping its wings, the energy that bursts out can easily destroy a star. Sunshining Kunpeng is a dominant creature on the star, and no one can defeat it. At this moment, it is caught in a bitter battle. A huge bird-like creature with flames all over its body, exudes a terrifying aura, like a demon god, which makes people tremble with fear. Kai. The ferocious bird opened its mouth, which was full of densely packed sharp teeth. It bit down and immediately tore off a piece of the body of Sunglari Kunpeng. Sunglari Kunpeng is an energy creature. What flows in its body is not blood, but golden energy light. The ferocious bird chewed the energy crystals in big mouthfuls, and its body size increased again, becoming even larger than Sunglari Kunpeng. Its eyes flashed with scarlet light, and its eyes passed through the dazzling brilliance of the stars, and fell on the distant Huanxi star. Its pupils were full of hatred. "Destroy my descendants. Cut off my life. I must take revenge and completely destroy all your planets." The ferocious bird roared angrily, and the flames rushed to the sky, and the energy was raging. Deep in the Liang star, in a completely dark space, outside Xia Xingchen's body, the crystal pyramid flashed a faint white light. In front of him, the brutal scene of the ferocious bat devouring Sunglari Kunpeng was being staged. Suzaku has evolved into such a ferocious and terrifying creature. Even Riao Kunpeng was no match for it, and was devoured alive by it, bite by bite. I was lucky to escape from the battle with it. Xia Xingchen felt a little scared. That day, Xia Xingchen drove Mecha to fight Suzaku fiercely. Xia Xingchen tried his best, but couldn't defeat Suzaku. He could only follow the original plan, and use the high mobility of the mecha to chase the crystal pyramid, that flew away inexplicably towards the inside of the star. Unexpectedly, Suzaku was relentless, and chased after it, not only breaking the Liang scepter, but also destroying the mecha. Xia Xingchen thought he was dead. Fortunately, at this time, the huge will spoke again, and scared Suzaku away. The crystal pyramid also flew back, protecting Xia Xingchen's body and saving his life again. Afterwards, the crystal pyramid suddenly flashed, and came to this dark space. This space was pitch black, without temperature, energy, and nothing. Just when Xia Xingchen was surprised, an old man in a white robe appeared in front of him with a smile on his face. "Who are you?" Xia Xingchen was shocked. He could actually meet a human inside a star. No one would not be shocked. However, he quickly expanded his omniscience, and found that the old man in white robe in front of him was not a real human, but a spiritual body. Xia Xingchen didn't know much about spiritual bodies. Even though he could now condense his spiritual power, he still couldn't imagine how a simple spiritual body creature could survive. Why did this old man in white robe live alone inside a star? However, Xia Xingchen could feel that the old man in white robe in front of him had boundless spiritual power. If the old man's spiritual power was an ocean, then Xia Xingchen was just a small boat in the ocean. The gap between the two was too big. The old man only needed a thought, and Xia Xingchen's spiritual power would be completely annihilated and turned into ashes. Child, I finally waited for you. I'm Liang. The old man said with a smile. Liang. Xia Xingchen was stunned, and his whole body fell into a stagnation, and his mind was also in chaos. Liang. Xia Xingchen was shocked. Just from these two words, he guessed the true identity of the old man. However, he didn't dare to believe it. Child, you are right. I'm the planetary consciousness of Liang Star. You can call me Liang, or Grandpa, whatever you want to call me. Liang still had a smiling face. It's really the planetary consciousness. Xia Xingchen took a breath, and his face was full of excitement. Being able to communicate directly with the planetary consciousness, this wonderful experience can be said to be unprecedented and unparalleled. You are calling me. You summoned the crystal pyramid from my body? Xia Xingchen's mind was in chaos. He was so shocked that he finally sorted out his thoughts. Questions popped up like a string of cannonballs. Don't worry. I will answer your questions one by one. Liang smiled slightly. Don't worry, we still have time. Rather than saying that I summoned the source of faith from your body, it is better to say that it brought you to see me. Liang pointed at the crystal pyramid and smiled at Xia Xingchen. Child, you are very lucky to get the most valuable treasure in the universe. You said the source of faith. Xia Xingchen was shocked again. Xia Xingchen is still unclear about what kind of life a planetary will is. However, just from the old man's boundless mental power, the life level of the planetary will is still above the heavens and humans. What's more, Liang is the planetary will of a star. How powerful it is. Even he called the source of faith the most valuable treasure in the universe. It can be seen how precious the source of faith is. Grandpa Liang, what exactly is the source of faith? Or what is its function? Xia Xingchen was very excited. The mystery that puzzled him for a long time was finally going to be revealed today. The source of faith is the key to evolution. As for its use, through it, we can communicate with the will of planets like mine. This is one of its functions. The old man in white robe tried his best to explain in words that Xia Xingchen could understand. Of course, its greatest function is to gather the power of faith. Otherwise, it would not be named the source of faith. Gather the power of faith. Xia Xingchen blinked. I don't understand. Faith. Is it religious belief? What kind of power is this? You can understand it as a kind of mental power, an extremely pure mental power. Just like the light I emit, it is a pure energy. However, the power of faith is far stronger than my power. Liang explained. The function of the source of faith is to condense the power of faith and transform it into mental power for the host to use. Chapter 1195. Cutting off one's own life. The function of the crystal pyramid is to transform the power of faith into spiritual power, thereby improving the level of spiritual power, developing potential, and evolving the body and brain. Xia Xingchen was surprised when he heard the words of the will of the fiery sun star. Scenes flashed through Xia Xingchen's mind, which were his past experiences. Spiritual power cultivation should be gradual and requires a lot of time, a lot of energy, and even some luck. However, although Xia Xingchen had many twists and turns along the way, he was generally smooth sailing and did not spend a lot of time stuck at a bottleneck like most people. When Xia Xingchen discussed the method of spiritual power meditation cultivation with One RUI was very surprised and thought that Xia Xingchen's path of cultivation was too smooth. Many places that should have been bottlenecks were inexplicably broken through. Even Xia Xingchen thought he was lucky. Now think about it, it's not just luck, but the crystal pyramid played a role secretly. Every time Xia Xingchen was stuck at a bottleneck and suddenly improved, it was because he did a big thing. His fame increased, and he won the admiration and respect of many people. Especially when Xia Xingchen was in the Galactic Empire Army, he was regarded as a role model, and was packaged as a hero through media publicity. There were huge posters of Xia Xingchen on the bedside of countless teenagers, showing him in military uniform and driving a mecha in battle. Not only boys, but also many young girls at that time. Looking back now, during that period, Xia Xingchen's mental power level increased very quickly, and he encountered almost no obstacles. However, Xia Xingchen robbed the Xianyuan Star execution ground and rescued Princess Crossing. He became a wanted criminal and was on the blacklist, so he could only hide his name. From then on, Xia Xingchen's cultivation speed slowed down a lot. Recently, his cultivation speed has slowly recovered. Now it seems that it is entirely because of the amount of faith that affects his cultivation speed. Worship and admiration are all illusory thoughts, but the crystal pyramid can absorb the pure mental power in the thoughts and turn it into its own power. Too strong to defy the heavens. Xia Xingchen clenched his hands excitedly. The crystal pyramid is so powerful that it can directly collect and transform the power of faith. So, if Xia Xingchen wants to quickly improve his spiritual power level, he only needs to make more people admire, respect and trust him. Of course, this is easier said than done. For example, the Liang clan. Xia Xingchen sincerely wanted to help and save them. As a result, he was suspected everywhere and even betrayed. So much so that later, Xia Xingchen became a little discouraged. It is too difficult to gain the respect of others. It is even more difficult to make others admire you. Xia Xingchen already has a plan in mind, a plan that can quickly improve his strength. Grandpa Liang, I'm very grateful to you for telling me such important information. You spent so much effort to bring me here. It should not be just to tell me this. If you have anything to say, please speak directly. Xia Xingchen blinked and looked at the old man in white robe. Child, you are very smart. I asked you to come here because I really want you to help me with something. The old man in white robe put away his smile. His expression was solemn, and he waved his hand. Suddenly, a picture appeared in front of Xia Xingchen. It was Suzaku killing Ryao Kunpeng, devouring its corpse, becoming stronger, and wreaking havoc on the surface of the star. In such a short time, Suzaku has evolved to such a level. Xia Xingchen took a breath of cold air. Although it was just a picture, the hairs on his body stood up, and he felt a strong sense of oppression. Suzaku is originally one of the most terrifying star beasts in the universe. Its evolution is almost endless. As long as there is enough energy, it will evolve crazily and destroy all the planets in front of it, said the old man in white robe. Ah. You mean, when Suzaku evolves to a certain level, it can leave the star and destroy Wanshi Star. Xia Xingchen was shocked. Not just Wanshi Star. The old man in white robe shook his head. Even the entire Milky Way will be destroyed by it. Suzaku is such a terrifying star beast. Back then, the ancient humans hunted on my planet just to kill this terrifying star beast. Didn't the ancient humans do it? Xia Xingchen was shocked. He had heard too many legends about ancient humans, all of which were omnipotent. No. Even Suzaku. Ancient humans could hunt it and completely destroy it. Ancient humans were the most powerful race in the universe and had such power. But in the end, they gave up, left a three-legged golden crow egg, and drove away in a spaceship. The old man in white robe said. Why? Xia Xingchen looked confused. The Suzaku star beast that could destroy the entire Milky Way was undoubtedly a serious threat. Even Xia Xingchen understood the principle of eradicating all evil and rooting out the evil. It was impossible for the ancient humans not to understand. Destruction and rebirth are originally one. The Suzaku star beast is extremely ferocious and even has the terrifying power to destroy the entire galaxy and burn everything. However, it also represents rebirth. The white-robed old man explained, it is because of the existence of the Suzaku that the energy fluctuations of the star have changed, which has allowed the birth of the Liang clan on Wanshi Star. The Liang clan can only live on Wanshi Star. If they leave this planet, they will lose their fertility. This is also because there is no Suzaku to survive on other stars, and the energy fluctuations are different. Ah. Xia Xingchen was stunned and opened his mouth wide. So, those sun hunters, who went through so much trouble to hunt the three-legged golden crow on the star, are actually cutting off their own lives. Without the three-legged golden crow, there will be no Suzaku, and the Liang clan will lose their fertility forever. The cosmic environment is extremely harsh. Meteorite collisions, stellar helium flashes, alien invasions, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions. It is not easy for life races to survive these disasters. At the same time, life is very tenacious. No matter how terrible the disaster is, the race of life will find a glimmer of hope and try to survive. There is only one disaster that no race can overcome: the loss of fertility. Reproduction is the basis of the continuation of the race. If the fertility is lost, then the race is sentenced to death. This is why the three-legged crows are so angry. Their fertility is very low. After hundreds of years, they finally gave birth to a few eggs and cubs, all of which were destroyed by the queen of the Liang tribe. Ironically, the queen of the Liang tribe thought that she had successfully hunted the three-legged crow and would be famous, and her name would be recorded in history. Little did she know, it was the queen herself who destroyed the Liang tribe's way of life. Chapter 1196 New Mecha Suzaku. Grandpa Liang, is the extinction of the Liang tribe a foregone conclusion? Is there no hope for survival? Xia Xingchen mentioned the Liang tribe's concerns. Although Xia Xingchen's relationship with the Liang tribe cannot be said to be very good, and there are even some minor conflicts. However, Xia Xingchen couldn't bear to watch an intelligent race die out. There is a chance for survival, not that there is no hope. The white-robed old man's hand flashed with white light, and an oval egg with a golden shell appeared in his hand. This three-legged golden crow egg sank from the lava sea to the earth's core a long time ago. I accidentally found it. Due to the high temperature, it has never hatched. I didn't expect it to come in handy today. The old man in white robe said, maybe this is the will of heaven. Three-legged golden crow egg. Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. Can something like this save the Liang tribe? That's right. You try to put this three-legged golden crow egg into a suitable star and let it hatch slowly. It will naturally affect the energy fluctuations of the star. The Liang tribe will also regain their fertility if they live on a planet near this star. The old man in white robe said. A new star? Xia Xingchen looked at the old man in white robe with surprise. Yes, a new star. The Suzaku is a disaster. Now it has grown to such a point. Once this vicious bird leaves Liang star, the entire starry sky will be destroyed. It has been too long since I was born conscious. I'm too old. It's time to rest. The old man in white robe closed his eyes and said lightly. Xia Xingchen was completely stunned. The old man in white robes didn't say much, but the information he provided was enough. He quickly sorted it out and came to an astonishing conclusion. The energy creature Suzaku is an extremely terrifying creature. Even a star will like the old man in white robes can't easily kill it. Listening to the tone of the old man in white robes, he seemed to be ready to die and to use all his strength to stop Suzaku from destroying the starry sky. This must be a lose-lose situation. That's why the old man in white robes wanted him to take the three-legged golden crow egg back and find a new star to hatch it, so that the Liang people can move away from Wanshi star. Grandpa Liang. Xia Xingchen couldn't say a word for a while. Sacrifice yourself to illuminate others. What a great personality and noble sentiment. But Suzaku, a terrible bird, is better to be completely eliminated. Otherwise there will be endless troubles. If I take the three-legged golden crow egg to a new star, after thousands of years, there may not be no Suzaku born again. At that time, the lives will be ruined as well. Xia Xingchen thought of a possibility and said, child, destruction, and rebirth are one and the same. The decision is in your hands. You can choose to save the people of the Liang tribe in front of you and leave this difficult problem to future generations thousands of years later. Or, you can solve this problem now. The old man in white robe looked at Xia Xingchen with a smile. Xia Xingchen was silent again. This is a dilemma, and he needs to think about it. Child, you still have a lot of time. You can think about it slowly. I will send you away from this planet first. This is not a place where you can survive for a long time. The old man in white robe said. Thank you, Grandpa. Xia Xingchen looked at the old man in white robe, grateful. In the outer space of Liang star, the star arc, on the bridge, Kinjana walked around anxiously, turning her head to ask Jia. Jia, have you received any news from the star again? The old robot Jia shook its head slowly. No, the storm on the star is too strong, affecting the signal transmission. Kinjana nodded, and just after a few steps, she walked behind the crew member in charge of communication and asked, "What about you? Is there any signal coming from the star?" The crew member shook his head helplessly. "Your Highness, you have come to ask 7 times in 5 minutes. This is the 8th time. Even Xia can't receive the signal. How can we receive it?" Kinjana sighed deeply, full of worry. A few days ago, when the queen of the Liang tribe visited, Xia happened to receive the signal from Xia Xingchen. However, the signal was suddenly interrupted, and there was no contact for several days, which made Kinjana's heart, which had been put down, hang again. It's not that Kinjana doesn't believe in Xia Xingchen's strength. But after all, he is now inside the star, and that place is really too dangerous. Kinjana couldn't even imagine how a human could survive in the high temperature inside a star. To be honest, Kinjana actually didn't want Xia Xingchen to take such a big risk, to hunt the 3-legged golden crow on the Liang star and build a new Suzuki mecha. First, it was too dangerous. Second, Xia Xingchen's Azure Dragon mecha was already very powerful, plus the star domain arc. She thought it was not necessary to risk her life for the time being to improve her strength. Just as Kinjana was anxious like an ant on a hot pot, Xia suddenly said, "Received the signal." Kinjana hurried over, put on her headphones, and shouted into the microphone, "Hello, hello, is this Xingchen? How are you now? I'm worried about you." Xia Xingchen's calm voice came from the headphones, "I'm fine. Notify Xia. I will now send back the materials for making the Suzuki mecha, and make the Suzuki mecha immediately. I need to drive the Suzuki mecha to have a chance to leave the star." Xia Xingchen's Hai mecha was destroyed. If it weren't for the protection of the crystal pyramid and the old man of Liang, he would have been burned to ashes long ago. Although the Azure Dragon mecha is equipped with a jump device. However, the Azure Dragon mecha is made of wood, and cannot withstand the high temperature on the star. Once it is taken out, it will explode instantly. To resist the high temperature, we can only make a new Suzuki mecha. Great. I will ask Xia to prepare it immediately. Kinjana heard that Xia Xingchen was safe and had gathered the materials for the Suzuki mecha. A relieved smile appeared on her beautiful face, and she said loudly, "Xia, prepare the super time and space teleporter." Kinjana ordered, with an unquestionable tone. After all, she is the princess of the empire. After experiencing hardships, the aura of the emperor on her body gradually emanated. Under the command of Kinjana, the huge starfield arc was in order, like a sophisticated instrument. Everyone stayed at their post and played the greatest role. This kind of top leadership ability, even Xia Xingchen was ashamed of himself. "Ready." Xia sent a message immediately. Swish. A blue light flashed, and 5 huge energy crystals appeared inside the super time and space teleporter. Is this the remains of the 3-legged golden crow? It looks like crystal. It's sparkling and beautiful. Energy creatures. There are really creatures living on stars. A high energy reaction is coming from the instrument. These energy crystals contain extremely terrifying energy. Kang Xiu and the Kang family's mecha craftsmen, wearing protective clothing and holding various instruments in their hands, surrounded them. They were all amazed and amazed. Chapter 1197 Bad News. Energy crystals can be made in the top laboratories in the universe. However, there are only a few milligrams at most, which can only be used for research work, and cannot generate practical value. Such a huge energy crystal with such high purity is really eye-opening for me. Among the Khan family mecha craftsmen, an old man was so excited that tears welled up in his eyes. This old man was very senior among the Khan family craftsmen. He could be said to be Kang Xiu's grandfather. He was also very knowledgeable. At this moment, his wrinkled face was full of enthusiasm. Energy creatures. If we can catch living energy creatures, we will definitely win the Nobel Prize in Biology and Physics. Kang Xiu was also very excited. The energy contained in this energy crystal is too terrifying. It is equivalent to 1 million hydrogen bombs exploding at the same time. Can such a thing be made into a mecha? Some people also raised doubts. Master Xia Xingchen said it can be done. The technology he mastered is something that we can't imagine in a lifetime. In the star domain arc, any small technology is enough for us to spend a lifetime studying. Many mecha craftsmen sighed. Most of these people are craftsmen. for the research of new technology. They hope to see the practical application of new technology. Of course, there are also a few theoretical scientists who are academics who simply study theories, build models, and propose formulas. The old man with a very high seniority just now is one of them. Facing the unknown, scientists are more excited than craftsmen. The old man immediately asked Xia Xingchen for about 500 grams of energy crystals for research. Xia Xingchen agreed immediately. The old man was excited and crazy, thanking him repeatedly and grateful. Except for the 500 grams of energy crystals taken by the old man, all the remaining energy crystals were transported to Xia's manufacturing unit factory, and the Suzuki Mecha drawings obtained from the orcs were used to start production immediately. The Suzuki Mecha, like the Azure Dragon Mecha, has a very high level of technology. Even a top mecha design like Xia Xingchen cannot change it a bit. Xia quickly gave a manufacturing time 720 hours, which is 30 days in Earth time. With Xia's ability, this time is already very long. But this means that Xia Xingchen will have to live in the cruel environment of Liang Star for another 30 days. Faced with such a result, Xia Xingchen breathed a sigh of relief. Xia, thank you for your trouble. I thought it would take more than 100 days. Xia Xingchen said to Xia with a smile. Xia Xingchen is on Liang Star, protected by the will of the star. Although he cannot leave easily, his life safety will not be a problem. However, Suzaku is constantly hunting energy creatures such as solar whales in the photosphere and chromosphere of the star. If the time to manufacture the mecha is too long, it may change over time. Of course, Xia Xingchen also notes that 30 days is already very fast. After all, what he wants to manufacture is not an ordinary machine, but a Suzuki Mecha with extremely high technological level and extremely terrifying combat power. Suzuki Mecha, judging from the blueprint, it is really the strongest mecha I have ever seen in my life. Xia Xingchen's body trembled slightly because of excitement. The energy core of the Suzuki Mecha, like the Hawaii Mecha, is a high-power solar furnace. The energy crystals on its body can absorb solar energy and convert it into energy with high efficiency. In places where there is starlight, the Suzuki Mecha is similar to the Azure Dragon Mecha, which is equivalent to infinite energy. Of course, this also means that the Suzuki Mecha is not as versatile as the Azure Dragon Mecha. Once the light of the stars is lost, such as in the absolute darkness of the infinite star abyss, the energy system of the Suzuki Mecha can no longer work. In extreme cases, it can only consume the energy crystals of the mecha itself to maintain combat status. There is only one Thunderheart of the Azure Dragon Mecha in the entire Milky Way. Even the Suzuki Mecha does not have infinite energy in the true sense. However, the Suzuki Mecha also has a special skill that the Azure Dragon Mecha cannot match: energy. The entire body of the Suzuki Mecha is made of the energy crystals of the three-legged golden crow, so the mecha can be converted into an energy state, making it immune to all physical attacks. Only energy attacks such as laser beams can cause damage to the energized Suzuki Mecha. To a certain extent, this skill of the Suzuki Mecha means invincibility. However, due to this abnormal skill of the Suzuki Mecha, this mecha will also sacrifice a lot of performance. For example, the outer armor of the Suzuki Mecha can no longer use the star-devouring armor or God's gold armor, and it can no longer be equipped with spiritual power coating. This is an extremely huge weakening for the overall performance of the mecha. However, Xia Xingchen believes that, even if more performance is sacrificed, as long as it can be energized, it is worth it. The specific performance still needs to be explored in actual combat. I can wait for a month. Xia Xingchen's heart was burning, and his hands clenched tightly into fists. In 30 days, Xia Xingchen just settled down and used the light particle alienation technique on the Liang star to continue practicing and improve his spiritual power level. Wanshi Star, underground. In the majestic underground palace, Queen Kilu, wearing a queen's gorgeous dress, sat on the high gem throne, her beautiful face full of fatigue and bloodshot eyes. Logically speaking, Queen Kilu came back from the Star Domain Arc and brought the news that Xia Xingchen was still alive, which meant that humans would not retaliate against the Liang clan because of this, and a huge hidden danger was eliminated. However, what Queen Kilu did not expect was that the Elders Council brought bad news. Your Majesty, An elderly elder in charge of observing the starfield in the Council of Elders knelt down in front of the throne, looking panicked. "Your Majesty, it's not good. Strong energy fluctuations have been observed on the Liang star. We have obtained some images of the planet through the secret technique." Queen Kilu raised her hand gently. The elderly elder immediately performed the secret technique of the Liang clan, using the secret technique of mental power, to project a picture in the air. Seeing this picture, everyone in the palace took a breath of cold air. A peerless fierce bat with flames all over its body is killing crazily on the Liang star, slaughtering energy creatures and strengthening itself. Its body is emitting dark flames. Even the brilliance of the stars is covered. It opens its mouth and sprays out terrifying beams of light, easily killing a sun whale. Its eyes full of hatred are staring at the direction of Wanshi star. Even at such a long distance, Zook still feels that someone is spying on him. He screams, his whole body glows, and he suddenly exhales a breath. The black flames are burning fiercely, and large black cracks appear on the surface of the Liang star, like sunspots. Poof! The old man vomited blood and died suddenly. Chapter 1198, Strong Men Gather. The distance between Liang star and Wanshi star is so long. It can actually cross 20 million kilometers and kill people from a distance. This Suzaku is so terrifying. The old elder suddenly died, and everyone in the palace was stunned. There was a long silence. Queen Kilu's expression eased a little, and she waved her hand and said, "Carry his body down, and enjoy the treatment of a state funeral." The old elder's body covered in blood was quickly carried away by the guards. In the palace, the elders, nobles, and high-level powerful people of the Liang clan were all summoned by the queen to discuss the matter. Everyone bowed their heads, not daring to breathe, and the atmosphere was depressing. The Suzaku is still alive, and it has become even more powerful. It is the real god of destruction and the prophecy. Queen Kilu spoke first, with a gloomy expression. "It seems that the human did not succeed in stopping the Suzaku. He is not the real savior. For now, we can only summon back all the strong men of our clan who are traveling outside. Ask the secluded strong men to come out of the mountains, share the same hatred and fight against the Suzaku together." The queen thought again and decided on the only way. Everyone could only nod their heads. They were all helpless. The prophet had predicted that the Liang tribe would face a great disaster, and the queen had already begun to summon the Liang tribe warriors who were traveling outside. Liang Lui was the one who was summoned back before. However, Liang Lui father was the patriarch of the Liang tribe, and he himself was a noble. As an elder, Luman personally drove the meteorite spacecraft to summon them, and was treated very well. There were many civilian warriors in the Liang tribe who were traveling outside and had not received the news that the Liang tribe was in trouble. This time, the situation was very critical. The queen could only take action herself and use the Liang tribe's secret treasure together with the Council of Elders to amplify the fluctuations of spiritual power. Fellow countrymen of the Liang tribe, I'm Queen Kilu. Our tribe is in great danger. All tribesmen, when you hear the news, immediately return to Wanshi star. The queen's voice was amplified by the secret treasure and spread into the universe, spreading like ripples. On a green primitive planet, two powerful warriors of the Fiery Sun clan, a man and a woman, were hunting a devil Tyrannosaurus. They were a couple. Although they were civilians, they were very famous in the Fiery Sun clan. They were the legendary immortal couple, wandering the starry sky. The male Fiery Sun clan warrior Goran sat on the body of the devil Tyrannosaurus, suddenly raised his head, and looked in the direction of Wanshi star. What's going on? His wife Yasha also stopped what she was doing. It's the voice of Queen Kilu. She said the Liang tribe is in trouble. Goran was confused and shook his head. Is it an illusion? I heard it too. Yasha lowered his eyes and shook his head slightly. I thought it was an auditory hallucination just now. But, it's impossible for both of us to be hallucinating. It must be that the queen is using a secret method to call us. We have been away from Xia for too long, and it has nothing to do with the Liang tribe. Besides, the two of us can live well. Shall we go back? Goran stretched out his hand, hugged his wife in his arms, and whispered, I have a bad feeling. If we go back, we will probably die. Let's go back. It's time for us. the two of us to have a baby. Yasha buried her head in her husband's arms and said softly, I really want a baby. Okay. Then we will set off immediately and return to Wanshixing. Goran nodded. In fact, he also wanted to go back and save his people. In the south of the Galactic Empire, the Antarctic starfield, a huge space station floats in the universe. This is a famous starry sky bar. In the bar, many space adventurers were drinking, and the atmosphere was full of joy. Among the space adventurers, there were mercenaries, space pirates, and soldiers from the army. It could be said that there was a mix of good and bad people. However, the atmosphere in the starry sky bar was very good, and no one dared to make trouble. Because the owner of the starry sky bar was Bangbo, a fat man from the Liang tribe. Bangbo always had a smile on his face, and he greeted every customer with a smile, looking like a good man. However, everyone who knew Bangbo knew that he was not an ordinary person. An alien race, who could open a bar that made a lot of money every day on the human territory, could not be ordinary in strength. Some people said that Bangbo was once a space pirate, a member of the famous King Space Pirates group, and a space pirate who followed the space pirate King Roger to conquer the world. Bangbo was sitting at the counter of the bar, slowly wiping his wine glass, and countless drinkers were making noise nearby, making a lot of noise. Suddenly, a voice clearly came into Bangbo's mind. He suddenly looked up, a look of surprise flashed across his face, and he immediately walked to the corner of the bar, in front of a drunk and downtrodden Liang mercenary, and was about to speak. Old buddy. The tall drunk suddenly opened his eyes, as if he had a nightmare, jumped up, and shouted, oh no. My tribe is in trouble. You heard it too? Is it true? Bangbo's face sank. I also think this is a dream. But, it's true. The drunk pointed his right index finger at his head, slowly shook his head and smiled bitterly. Okay. Let's go back immediately. Bangbo immediately stood on the table and announced loudly, I'm sorry, everyone. The Starry Sky Bar will be closed indefinitely from today. I want to go home. The drinkers were in high spirits, drinking happily, and no one dared to say no to such a disappointment, and they left the Starry Sky Bar one after another. On that day, the Starry Sky Bar and the entire space station disappeared without a trace, leaving only a legend. Facing the crisis of genocide, the cohesion of the Liang tribe was revealed. In just 30 days, countless powerful people who were traveling outside rushed back to Wanshixing. Most of these powerful people were great figures who left legends in the starry sky, and their strength was extraordinary. However, these powerful people gathered in front of the queen, and each of them had an ugly face. On the Liang star, the terrifying aura of the vermilion bad was pervasive, and the black fire on its body was steaming, which was about to cover the light of the entire Liang star. Looking at the Liang star with the naked eye, more than half of the range is black, like a solar eclipse. Such an astronomical anomaly, the lower level tribesmen of the Liang clan began to panic, and there were many opinions. The truth cannot be hidden, and Queen Killer wanted to suppress the spread of fear, but the anomalies on the Liang star became more and more obvious. Whenever you look up at the Liang star, a black silhouette of a fierce bird appears and disappears, exuding a vast and unpredictable pressure, which makes the strong people tremble. The Liang star is like an egg, and the fierce bird inside will break out of the shell at any time. On the day when the vermilion bird is born, the entire starry sky will be burned by black flames, and all living things will be charred. In the outer space of Liang star, everyone on the star domain arc also discovered the abnormal situation. They were all shocked and trembling. Quickly notify Xingchen. Let him leave Liang star immediately. Something terrible is wreaking havoc on it. He is in danger. Xingchena's teeth were chattering, and she asked Xia to find a way to contact Xia Xingchen. Xingchena is not a person who has never seen the world. Even in the execution ground of Shinyuan Star, facing death, she had shown a calm smile. But facing Suzaku, Xingchena felt a shudder from the bottom of her heart. Even the bravest and strongest rabbit will tremble in the face of a hungry wolf. This is the survival instinct of lower organisms facing higher organisms. Never get close, never be an enemy. Chapter 1199 Doomsday. Finally, the 1-month deadline came. Xia made the Suzuki Mecha and immediately transferred it to Xia Xingchen, who was deep in the Liang star. In the dark space, the space-time beacon in front of Xia Xingchen flashed a dazzling blue light, and a red mecha with a height of 20 meters appeared in front of him. 20 meters, so tall. Xia Xingchen looked up at the Suzuki mecha floating in the air, and couldn't help but admire it. The height of the mecha represents its performance to a certain extent. The larger the mecha, the more terrifying its power performance. Large-scale development is the only way for the development of mecha. The Suzuki mecha is made of energy crystals throughout, just like it is carved from dazzling red crystals, exuding brilliance and extraordinary heroic. Outside the mecha, there is no mecha peripheral equipment, not even weapons. It looks simple and capable, without the bloated feeling of other mechas, full of super future streamlined beauty. Xia Xingchen excitedly entered the cockpit of the Suzuki mecha. The furnishings inside were very similar to those of the Hawaii mecha, with a flat-lying cockpit and a 360-degree panoramic simulation on the wall. He immediately turned on the instrument, and a screen emitting a dark red light appeared in front of him, with indexes displayed one by one. From the performance point of view alone, the overall performance of the Suzuki mecha is close to that of the Hawaii mecha, and is much higher than that of the Azure Dragon mecha. Of course, the specific actual combat capability cannot be seen from the instrument, and it must be practiced in actual combat. Grandpa Liang, I'm ready to leave here. Xia Xingchen said goodbye to the old man in white robes. The old man in white robes smiled kindly. Child, don't worry, wait until I finish one thing, and then I will send you off. Looking up from Wanshi Star, the entire Liang Star turned black. The light was completely swallowed up, and the earth fell into darkness. The entire Wanshi Star was in panic at this moment. The queen brought all the strong men of the Liang clan, and gathered on the Holy Mountain spaceship, waiting silently. Click. The darkness of the Liang Star was torn apart, and a peerless fierce bird emitting golden light broke out of its shell, its feathers burning with blazing flames, its mouth spraying golden light, and its wings flapping, as if trying to break free from the shackles of the Liang Star. Its wings flapped very slowly, but every time it flapped, a strong energy storm rolled up on the Liang Star. From the Wanshi Star, only black flames were seen spreading out in circles like ripples. The mythical beast Suzaku has already noticed that the planetary will of the Liang Star is preparing to deal with it. Although it is not in its strongest state now, it can no longer wait, and is ready to use brute force to break free from the Liang Star. As long as it is not bound by the planetary will, Suzaku can find other weak stars to hide and devour energy. When Suzaku's energy accumulates to a certain level, it can even swallow the sun and spit out the moon. At that time, with one bite, a star will become its meal. The Suzaku exuded a terrifying aura, and large tracts of black flames were wantonly splashing in the starry sky, causing the starry sky to tremble. Everywhere was filled with energy fluctuations that caused instruments to malfunction and break. Ordinary starry sky warships could not fly in this star field at all. God of Destruction. On Wanshi Star, countless members of the Liang clan were out of control at this moment. They knelt on the ground, worshipped and kowtowed, wanting to pray to the gods to forgive themselves. The legend of the God of Destruction has been circulating on Wanshi Star for tens of thousands of years. It is deeply rooted. The ignorant people naturally kneel down and kowtow when they see a powerful person, without any resistance. The God of Destruction has finally arrived. The queen looked up at the abnormality on Liang Star, and was also terrified. The strength of the mythical beast Suzaku cannot be measured by the level system of humans and the Liang clan. If it must be measured using the level left by distant ancient humans, Suzaku is a world-destroying star beast monster. When it spits out flames from its mouth, a planet will be burned to ashes. Even the ancient humans, who were celestial beings, were very afraid of the world-destroying monster Suzaku. Otherwise, they would not have traveled thousands of miles to the fiery sun star and driven the Hawaii mecha to hunt the three-legged golden crow to prevent them from turning into the Suzaku. However, for the survival of the fiery sun clan, the ancient humans left the three-legged golden crow with a glimmer of hope, but also left a huge hidden danger. The star domain arc was originally parked in the space outside the fiery sun star. The violent energy fluctuations from the fiery sun star were too much for the star domain arc to withstand. Leave this dangerous place first. Kinjana considered again and again, and decided to evacuate the nearby starfields first to avoid being affected. Swish. The Star Domainarch immediately jumped and used wormhole technology to retreat to the edge of this starfield. However, Xingchen was still paying attention to the fiery sun star. Once Xia Xingchen encountered any unpredictable danger while driving the Suzuki Mecha, the Star Domainarch would immediately jump back and do its best to rescue. Even so, after retreating to the edge, through remote observation technology, watching the screen projected image of the fiery sun star, everyone on the Star Domainarch was sweating and trembling. The Suzaku had grown to the size of half a star, and its body was blood red. The aura on its body was too overbearing and terrifying. The Suzaku was covered with terrible runes, and red mushroom clouds rose around it. High energy exploded and shattered, forming a terrifying energy vortex. These runes were extremely mysterious and contained the terrible power of the laws of the universe. Star beasts of Suzaku's level were gifted and naturally knew countless laws. They could control energy at will, and their fierce power was scattered. They wanted to impact the 9 heavens, struggled desperately, and broke through the shackles of the will of the fiery sun star. All the creatures on Wanshi Star could only kneel down and tremble, facing the sudden doomsday. Even the seemingly powerful race of the fiery sun clan was as weak as duckweed on the sea. In fact, the terrifying energy that Suzaku erupted at this moment was enough to affect Wanshi Star and deeply plow the ground full of holes. The only thing to be thankful for is that countless mysterious runes also emerged on the surface of the fiery sun star, interweaving with each other to form an energy field, like a big net, blocking the spread of the black flame. Otherwise, the Suzaku would not need to descend, and all nearby planets would be destroyed. Old man. The Suzaku howled in a low voice, flapping its wings desperately. Its existence of this level can already be on par with the will of the star, and naturally it also knows that it is the will of the fiery sun star that is preventing it from leaving. The Suzaku is extremely angry, and the black light on its body is radiant, full of the breath of destruction, which can easily burn the planet to ashes. However, no matter how hard it struggles, the Suzaku cannot leave the fiery sun star. The energy symbol on the Suzaku body shines again, and black flames are burning everywhere on its huge body. Its mouth opens and spits out a golden thunderbolt, and the light covers the fiery sun star. Boom. The big net on the surface of the fiery sun star was finally blasted open by this thunderbolt. The Suzaku flapped its wings and flew out of the hole in an instant. Ha ha ha. Old man, you can never stop me. After I have eaten all the nearby stars and become strong enough, I will come back to eat you. Zuke's whole body was flashing with blood red light. He flew away from the Liang star and turned around to laugh. Chapter 1200 Burnt Out. I will not only destroy the sun star, I will also destroy everything in the starry sky. Burn the stars. Let the entire universe fall into extinction. This world should not belong to you material creatures, but to us noble energy creatures. The huge gravity of the sun star can no longer restrain the Suzaku. It has spread its wings and flown high, breaking through the will of the planet, and is about to enter the outer space. There is a huge gap between races, as deep as the abyss of the stars. Not to mention species that are fundamentally different. The Suzaku is an energy species, born with an extremely long lifespan, able to manipulate energy, and considers itself noble. However, their race was almost completely destroyed by ancient humans driving mechas a long time ago. The deep resentment hidden in the heart finally broke out today. The terrible bird, that even the will of the planet cannot stop, is finally getting rid of all the shackles on its body. Oh my god. If Suzaku escapes, the whole starry sky will suffer. Who can stop it? Who can stop it? On Wanshi Star, countless strong men watched Suzaku escape. Each of them looked at Hen, and their hearts were filled with despair. Ha ha ha. Suzaku laughed wildly, and a brilliant golden light surged from its huge body. Its wings spread out, and it had completely escaped from Liang Star. At this time, the light of Liang Star suddenly dimmed, and the starry sky was pitch black. It seemed that even the planetary consciousness of Liang Star realized that it could not stop Suzaku, and chose to surrender. Old man, you finally gave in. Unless it is the ancient humans, no one can stop my steps to destroy the world. Unfortunately, the ancient humans have long since died. Although the humans in the starry sky today are descendants of the ancient humans, they are too weak. After I escape, the first thing I will do is to eliminate humans and eliminate the trouble forever." Suzaku laughed wildly, and black flames full of destructive breath came out of his body. Only the ancient humans made Suzaku feel timid. It didn't take other people seriously at all. However, the light of the fiery sun star dimmed for a moment, and suddenly with a buzzing sound, pieces of light suddenly burst out, and the light enveloped the starry sky again. A golden hand burning with flames suddenly stretched out from the fiery sun star. It was so huge, the size of an entire star, and Suzaku was like a little sparrow in front of this huge palm. The big hand exuded a brilliant golden light, and was covered with mysterious runes. Just when Suzaku was about to escape, the big hand reached out, grabbed Suzaku's body, and dragged it back. The blazing flames of the fiery sun star turned into the phantom of an old man, his eyes burning with anger, staring coldly at Suzaku. It was the planetary will of the fiery sun star. He consumed the huge energy stored on the fiery sun star, and trapped Suzaku on the planet, unable to leave. The fiery sun star is an extremely ancient star. Stars also have their own lifespans. Once its lifespan reaches its end, its interior will collapse, and depending on its mass, it will become a white dwarf, a neutron star, or even a black hole. The sun star has been burning for billions of years, and the remaining energy is not much. At this moment, it has consumed a lot of energy, which is equivalent to overdrawing its own life, just to trap Suzaku. Old man. As powerful as Suzaku was, it was about to escape from the cage of the sun star, but it was pulled back unexpectedly. Its voice trembled with anger, and it couldn't help but scream, and the black flames on its body jumped wildly. Suzaku's blood-red feathers all stood upside down, turning into energy arrows, stabbing at the big hand frantically. "It's useless. I have decided that, even if I turn into a black hole, I will stop you from leaving." The shadow of the old man on the sun star shook his head slowly, his eyes determined. "I don't accept it. You material beings are born inferior, and can't stop me." Suzaku roared, unwilling to give in. It finally condensed its body again, but it didn't expect that it couldn't even leave a star. But there was no answer, and the big hand suddenly clenched. Instantly, the body of the vermilion bat disintegrated and turned into countless golden light spots. However, soon, these golden light spots recondensed and turned into the body of the vermilion bird, but the golden light on its body dimmed a little, and the black flames around its body were no longer as rampant as before. The three-legged golden crow is called the immortal bird in the legends of many races. It is too difficult to completely kill energy creatures, especially for a peerless fierce bird like the vermilion bird. It is almost impossible to completely kill it. It cannot be killed, it can only be trapped. The golden hand stretched out again, and with a flip of the palm, a huge shadow enveloped the vermilion bird, and took it back to the interior of the Liang star. The entire Liang star was dim, and the sky seemed to be covered by a layer of black clouds, and it was impossible to see the inside. The temperature of the corona in the photosphere dropped sharply, and the highest temperature was less than 3000 degrees. "Child, I tried my best and finally suppressed the vermilion bird. Take this opportunity, you leave immediately. Remember, the choice is in your hands." The voice of the old man in white robes rang in Xia Xingchen's ears. "Yeah." Xia Xingchen looked down at a golden bird egg in the corner of the cockpit, nodded slightly, and drove the Suzuki Mecha, transformed into a prairie fire phoenix, broke through the clouds, left Liang Star, and returned to the universe. Wanshi Star, on the Holy Mountain spaceship, the Queen and a group of strong men were all holding their breath and paying attention to the situation on Liang Star. They saw that Suzaku was about to escape, but was dragged back by a big hand. Then, a much smaller Suzaku-shaped object flew out of Liang Star and came to the universe. What's going on? Did Suzaku finally escape? All of them were confused about the situation. Where to go? To Wanshi Star, or the Suzuki Mecha flew in the universe, and Xia Xingchen showed hesitation. Suzaku was trapped, and the planetary will of Liang Star consumed a lot of energy. It has come to an end, and will soon burn out, and turn into a black hole. Moreover, Liang Star lost the energy fluctuations of Suzaku, which means that the Liang people will soon lose their fertility. The end of the Liang tribe did not end with the entrapment of Suzaku, but just began. According to common sense, Xia Xingchen should immediately go to Wanshi Star to inform the Liang tribe of the bad news and let them prepare for planetary migration, leaving the Liang Star region and going to other planets. But, will they believe me? Xia Xingchen thought for a moment and finally shook his head slowly. Those who are not of my race must have different hearts. This sentence is not just a casual remark. The gap between races cannot be resolved with enthusiasm and sincerity. Xia Xingchen has been betrayed and abandoned by the Liang tribe. He will not be stupid enough to be betrayed a second time. The Liang tribe. I will save them. But now is not the time. Moreover, I will use a more efficient method. Xia Xingchen's eyes gradually became firm. They must realize what a terrible catastrophe they are in. Then, my rescue will be valuable. Jaina, where are you? Pick me up at this star coordinate. Xia Xingchen sent out his star coordinates. Soon, the star domain arc appeared near the Suzuki Mecha, and Xia Xingchen returned to the spaceship. After entering the spaceship, Jaina rushed up and threw herself into Xia Xingchen's chest. The two had just been intimate for less than a few minutes when Li Huamui came over with a bad face and hurried over. Oh no. Edward sent a distress signal from the Azure Star. He is in a tough battle and his life is in danger at any time. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.